you ready? I said, are you ready for Let's Talk Whoa Hockey? And now, here are our hosts, Beth and Zach.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to a new episode of Let's Talk Whoa Hockey. This is episode number 33, which is absolutely crazy to think about. I am your host, Beth. That is my dude, Zach. We are back after a week off because somebody is no longer living in a hotel. He is actually back in his house, which is super exciting. How you doing, buddy?
Doing good. Like I said, back in the house, got back in there last Sunday. Still looking at a whole bunch of boxes since we never got to actually unpack them the first time we got into the house. But no, it's going to be back though. I mean, got the TV set up, got the consoles ready to go, got some NHL 23, got NHL Legacy for the Xbox 360, so I get to go some throwback 2015 hockey.
Nice.
So, yeah. So, all the good stuff. But no, it's going to be back. Now just trying to find time to unpack since, we all got day jobs. So, But how are you doing, though?
I'm doing good. It's December, and I had to mow my grass today, so that's just Florida for you.
Sounds better,
outside
right?
of that, I had a great hockey week. The Icemen swept the Utah Grizzlies, won all three games in fairly decisive fashion, 5-2, 4-1, 4-1. So
there you go.
It was a good weekend for hockey. It's going to be a great episode because we have a little bit of surprise and we didn't tell nobody what was happening.
No teasers, no
teasers, no nothing, just nothing. So
just like how we like to do it. We just want to surprise everyone all the time.
It's true.
What's this podcast gonna do? I don't know. I guess you're gonna have to find out.
I don't know. We keep you on your toes, which is why you're here. So without any further ado, we would like to welcome back to the podcast the demigoddess of chaos, Miss Courtney Dagger herself.
Are you ready for the chaos?
Oh, we're always ready for the chaos, though. And
we are.
So no longer the commissioner of chaos, but now the demigoddess.
I've been
Yes.
upgraded.
You got an upgrade.
What sparked the upgrade? What exact moment of chaos sparked this?
Honestly, for me, it was you messing with Spencer.
that was a good.
And then the things actually happening, and he was like, "Oh my god, I'm so sorry! I'm so sorry!" And it's like, okay, yep, this is what's gonna happen right now.
Well, it was also kind of like just right after like Marion Host's retirement night, so it's kind of like we got the demigoddess, we know Dagger. And all the craziness that she somehow just invokes on hockey. So we got to have the female version of Marion Hossa. So there we go. We got the demigoddess.
You're the lady version of Marion Hossa, Courtney.
That is a high honor right there, y'all.
I mean, it's kind of. I mean, we won't throw that out there lightly. I mean, it's
No,
that is a very high honor right there.
It is.
I will take it.
No, for sure.
This is like what, your fourth time on the podcast now?
Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah,
because it was her, then the full
from center ice experience.
Yeah,
and then we got to bring the Dagger back because honestly, we didn't record last week because somebody had to move and stuff. So we didn't record last week, but in the past 7 days, an article came out, and that's the reason that you're here. And we're going to talk about the article later because the three of us just feel so validated by this piece of content on the internet. But it's also perfect that you're here because there was a lot of chaos in the WoHo world this weekend as well.
Oh, fantastic.
And it was also a 3-day WoHo weekend. There were games on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Wow.
So there was a lot going on and it was a lot of excitement. Today was probably, if not the best, one of the best PHF games I've ever watched. With the Pride versus the Buttes, I mean, there were 12 goals scored in that game total between both teams. 12.
Oh my gosh. They almost upstaged, who was it, Seattle and LA?
Yeah.
With 17 goals.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I still think that game even happened. Fantasy hockey owners, your goalie's just absolutely crap the bed for you. Have fun with those negatives.
But yeah, skaters though.
Your skaters made up for it, but good night. That game
if you had Tage Thompson, you're looking pretty good though too. in general.
Didn't he have 4 goals in the first period the other day?
He did. And so that was Tuesday, I believe. Monday, I set my lineups every Sunday. Like Sunday, I wake up, I have breakfast, I set my lineups, and then I go about my week because I set them for the week. ESPN did not save my lineups after I set them on Sunday. So Monday, I had almost 9 points on the bench.
Oof.
Tage Thompson came in on Tuesday and absolutely, positively, 100% made up for that.
You had him in your lineup then?
I had it.
After, thank goodness.
I didn't find out that my lineups were not set until Monday after games had started.
Okay, so you knew it for Tuesday.
So that day I went in and reset my lineups again.
Oh,
and like, if it wasn't for ESPN being ESPN, I would be like probably over 100 points this week because I would have been at 97 points.
Wow. How many points did Tage Thompson get that game for you?
10.9.
Holy.
Phew. There you go.
He scored 5 goals. So he had a hat trick and many other good things. And that 100% made up for ESPN sucking at life.
Absolutely. Oh man, I was leading earlier this week. Now I'm losing. That's not okay.
Zach doesn't like to talk about it.
Oh, you mean where I'm consistently losing because I'm losing 91.1 to 64.1. God,
Zach, what happened?
Zach has had like 3 fire sales on his team already, Courtney. Like,
I know I have Demko because of it, but now he's injured.
Thompson because of it.
Oh no! Oh no!
I traded him Ryan Pollock for Tage Thompson.
The bad part is Ryan Pollock's not even part of my team anymore.
He's not.
Zach.
The guys are
what
actually.
What made you think that was a good trade?
It was before Tage. It was like the first couple weeks of the season, and Tage was doing nothing. And I was like, "Cool! I will absolutely accept this trade."
Yeah, but I mean, I got Cole Caulfield, Matt Barzal, Horvat Pedersen, and Quinn Hughes from the Canucks.
Why would you take 3 Canucks, Zach? What is happening?
Those are the guys who are actually scoring all my points. That's the bad thing.
The other bad thing.
Never put all of your eggs in one team's basket.
I don't.
Here's the other fun part. That's not the only trade Zach and I had this season. The other one was 6 or 7 games into the year. Zach needed a tendy. So I traded him Carter Hart,
who was doing well at the time,
for Shane Gostisbehere.
And 2 picks.
And 2 picks. And then what happened to Carter Hart after that?
Well, it's not Carter Hart. It's more so the Flyers just forgot how to play hockey.
Yeah,
but you're asking price. It's like, what can I get for Carter Hart? Well, he's a hot tendy who's got the number 1 ranking in all of goalies, so the price is going to be high. So I basically, I
Joe Sakic him.
Well, no, you didn't Joe Sakic him. You're like, it's either you pay this or you get nothing. And I'm like, fuck, fine.
The only goal is he knew that Georgie and Shesty were untouchable. I'm not trading either of them to you. That's not happening. Yeah. And Carter Hart was my 3rd goalie. And I made magic happen, and I was like, I will take this and this for him. And that wasn't even the highest asking price.
Yikes.
I'm not nice sometimes. But 2 fantasy hockey seasons in a row that I will continue to fleece Zach. Because last year it was Jacob Trouba for Brady Shea. I got Jacob Trouba.
Brady Shea was on a fucking heater too. Shea was on a heater.
Can we have to talk about the Washington Capitals for a moment. Like, just for a moment. So last season in the goaltending department, they had Vitek Vanacek and Ilya Samsonov, right? And obviously the Avalanche had Darcy Kemper, and then they went with Georgiev for this year. Well, the Caps just blew up their goaltending so they could get Darcy Kemper. So they just let Samsonov go. They let Vanacek go. So now if you go to the goaltending stats in the league and sort by save percentage, Ilya Samsonov with the Toronto Maple Leafs is second in the NHL with a .933 save percentage and a record of 8-2-0. And then you have, let's see, going down here a little bit, Vitek Vanacek at 15th with a .916, and he is 12-2-1 with the Devils. And then you have Darcy Kemper at 17th. He also has a .916, but a record of 8-9-2 with the Caps. So
it's because the Caps can't score; they can't win games.
Yeah, and then you have Alexander Georgiev at 6th with a .920 save percentage for the Avs, which is just kind of amazing in general, seeing as they are injured beyond belief.
Oh yeah,
he has a record of 11-5-2. So the only team that made a bad decision here may have been the Washington Capitals.
Yeah, because the fact that Samsonov is absolutely carrying the Maple Leafs right now, and the fact that Vanacek's also just leading the Devils, like it's insane how you had a solid tandem, did nothing with it. Now they're the main guys, and it's like, okay, cool. Now we're just gonna basically Vezina the entire league.
But also, I feel like we need to mention Matt Murray going from Ottawa to Toronto, and everybody in the offseason being highly concerned about that, myself included. But he played one game for the Leafs, ended up on IR, and myself and everybody else was like, oh no, here we go. But he comes back. He's only played 10 games because he was injured. But he has a record of 7-1-2 with a .926 save percentage for the Leafs right now.
Also, I will say Matt Murray's been reverse aging, because when he was in Ottawa, he looked like he was 97. And now he is returning to a more
and I just want to
age-appropriate look.
Good for him. I'm happy for him. Of course, I'm happy he's doing well because he is on the Leafs, my second team behind the Hawks. But I'm just happy for the guy because he went through so much after winning. I mean, after winning those 2 cups his first 2 seasons with Pittsburgh, both of them won as a rookie, by the way. And then he goes and has a not so great little stretch there with Pittsburgh. After that, goes to Ottawa. Everything goes to hell. Then his dad dies, and he has all these issues, and everybody's down on Matt Murray, saying he's done. Comes back with Toronto, gets injured after the first game. And then just thinking this is how it's going to go. But now he's playing very well, and I'm just happy for the guy.
I mean, if anyone listens to this podcast, they know we might have a small thing for attendees.
Just a little.
Well, just a little bit.
And so to see him go from where he was, and then obviously there was a pretty steep downward fall.
I think Pittsburgh did pretty dirty. Pittsburgh did pretty dirty. I think that's kind of what.
For sure. But then to go to Ottawa and have all of the Ottawa things be Ottawa things.
Well, and then personal things in his life. He went through so much there in Ottawa.
Well, and I mean, the internet was also pretty rough on him too, especially after that press conference picture came out. And the internet accusations were insane. Like,
as they typically are. Let's be real here.
But I mean, the dude was going through it.
Right.
Like, not just on the hockey side of thing, like on the personal life side of things.
Every side of things, he was going through it.
But I mean, that takes a toll on the body. Like, let's be honest.
Absolutely.
But to see him come back and do what he's doing, it's amazing. And I mean, like, let's look at Chris Letang, who just had a stroke like 2 weeks ago and played hockey last night.
Which I think is wrong.
Bonkers.
But I don't agree with it. And I mean, you see everybody online like he knows his body more than anybody else, and fair, but this is where we have to say that hockey players don't always make the smartest decisions. See, example, Calvin DeHaan playing with a broken leg, Patrice Bergeron playing with a punctured lung. And there's
Valerie Nichushkin having to be wheeled on a cart to the ice to play hockey because he had to shove
not being able to tie his own skates.
Nichushkin just got back like last night.
So these guys know their bodies better than anybody else, and just because they're cleared to play doesn't mean they should.
Yeah, especially with a stroke 2 weeks before, like because all indications were saying he was done for the rest of the season. Like they were going to sit him for like either the rest of the season or a good few months. And it's like, now he's back.
He missed
how is he already back?
I think part of it. So, from what I've read in his interview, he did say like he caught it before like medically it would normally be caught. Because this isn't something he's had an issue with before. It's due to a congenital heart problem that he has.
That he was born with.
So that he was born. I mean, obviously you can't change that.
Right.
So he was born with a congenital heart defect that causes his body to throw clots. And he didn't know about the clots until the first stroke.
Right.
And he was out for quite some time after the first one. But he caught this one really honestly before most people would have known that anything was wrong.
Yeah.
And so he was able to get super early medical intervention because he was like, something is wrong with me. Like something is not right. I'm going to call my doctor. Which honestly, world, if you're listening, if something doesn't feel right in your body,
please see a doctor.
Please go to the doctor.
I know it's hard. It's expensive here in the States, no matter what.
Yeah.
But just do it.
Just go. Like
just
you
find
don't know
a way.
How much you could be saving yourself from. And honestly, doctors are legally obligated to treat you regardless of your ability or inability to pay.
And all of these places will give you a payment plan. Like they will work with you.
Yeah. Like the internet will give you all the resources you need, especially if you don't have health insurance, to get that bill cut down. Like including, I saw something basically where, because they charge you like $27 for a bar of soap, and you can literally bring in like a thing from a store that's like, this bar of soap cost you $2.92. And they have to move the price down to the market value price, because those are the prices they charge your insurance company, which is why insurance is so expensive.
Because they can.
This is a vicious cycle and it sucks. But
this is very state-centric conversation here.
Very much so. Yeah. Well, I mean, we have a pretty heavy states listenership. So, but if something feels wrong, go to the doctor. Like, go to the doctor.
Please. Because you could be saving, if it's a money thing, you could be saving yourself thousands of dollars catching it
Hundreds
early.
of thousands of dollars.
Yeah, like, millions even.
Yeah.
Like, when my mom was going through cancer treatment, we saw like the official bill at the end of it. It was over $1 million that they charged Blue Cross.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah. It's insane. But like, you could be saving yourself up to millions of dollars, depending on what's wrong with you.
Yeah.
And a simple, like, regular visit to a doctor, which, oh, by the way, most cities have free clinics and traveling doctors and people who donate their services pro bono to people without insurance. So, like, do a little research. But you could be saving yourself so much money, so much time, so much pain, so much everything by just being like, you know, this doesn't feel like it should feel. Give it a day.
Also,
if it still doesn't feel right in a day, pick up the phone and find a doctor. You have the knowledge of the world in your hands.
A primary doctor that you see and is affordable with your insurance and whatnot, get a blood panel every year.
Yeah.
I just did I did it for the first time this year because I realized I hadn't and that I probably should. And it's super easy. I went in for a yearly checkup. I was like, hey, can I get a blood panel run? And they were like, sure, I'll send you down to the lab. And then they did it and I was in and out in like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And then they give you the results a few days later.
Yeah. And I mean, most labs, depending on where you go, like I went and did a blood panel last year after I had COVID because I was having trouble sleeping. And so they were like, let's just run a full base of labs. Cool. Yeah. I am so excited. Like 4 hours later, I got a text message on my phone from Quest Labs that said my lab results were available. So, I mean, just take care of yourselves.
Take care of yourselves.
Take care of yourselves. Okay, so we should probably get off of our PSA soapbox now. Hockey. Yay. Anyway, so we're gonna start with PHF because we love the people having fun. Again, there were 3 days of games this weekend. It was perfection. The first set of games we'll go over, we had the Whale with the visiting Whitecaps. They did split the weekend series. Abby Ives got her first ever PHF shutout on Friday when the Whale beat the Caps 2-0.
That's exciting.
And then yesterday's game was insane. It was a lot of back and forth. the game was tied with like very few minutes left in the third period. It was tied at 3, and then the Whitecaps scored, and then the game was over. So they split the weekend with the Caps, which is fine. It was their first weekend at home. They premiered the Dark Seas jerseys, which
those are
so gorgeous.
Oh my God.
The best ones in the league by far. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like,
and
those are so good though. They're so nice.
Come to find out, because I texted him when we had Elliot Gerard on the podcast the first time. He was talking about, different jersey designs and this, that, and the other. That was one of the jerseys he was talking about.
You mean the one
I texted him. I was like, is the Dark Seas jersey the jersey that you were talking about that you couldn't say anything more about when you were on the podcast? And he was like, yep. And I was like, oh my God, I love them so much. You were so right.
Well, it's funny because it was funny because the fact that you messaged me after we did the recording. I'm like in the middle of editing. You're like, I need you to edit 2 things out. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. So I had to scroll
I got a
back
text message we need to take this part and this part out. And he took out like some of the description of the jersey, but he let us leave in that like there was a jersey. And but it was so funny because as soon as I saw them, I was like,
wait a minute.
And he was like, yep, those are absolutely the jerseys I was talking about. So they are sick. Like,
they're clean, they are beautiful, the color combination is fantastic.
Yeah.
Just
also
gorgeous.
In all of the happiness in the world, Pucky has returned to professional hockey. And he was at the Whale games this weekend. We have Pucky back.
You love to see
lives.
It.
He lives. I am all for this season of the PHF being like, everybody gets a mascot.
Finally.
And
yeah, right.
Exactly. When the Pride and the Six announced that like they had mascots, Zach, I messaged Zach. I was like, Pucky better be coming back. And he was like, I hope so. And I was like, no, no hope. Pucky better be coming back. And it wasn't like, it wasn't Hammy 2.0 kind of Pucky. It was OG Pucky.
Yeah.
Like the Pucky. The one and only.
You had to bring up Hammy 2.0. You had.
I can see Hammy 1.0 in her background.
So is down there.
I mean, that is a sick poster though.
It was made by a local artist here in Rockford.
Oh, I love it.
There you go.
Mm-hmm. So,
how about the player of the game celebrations for the Whale? They
have a little sailor hat with an anchor on it.
Oh my God!
Was it the sailor of the game or something like that?
Yeah,
that is.
It was Abby Ives because she got the shutout.
Yeah,
that's
her first professional shutout. It was nice to see these last couple of weeks the Whale scoring goals, because that did not happen the first week that they played in the PHF. With their singular game.
Bottom of the standings with 1 game.
Yeah. Kennedy have another season marchman is on fire again. Her name continuously pops up for goal updates, and you hear her on the broadcast, and it's amazing. There's often a sophomore slump in hockey. Let's be honest. We've all seen it. Have a great first season, and the second one, it's like, ooh.
About that.
Can you find the net? Like
Dominic Kubalik.
Oh, Kubi's second season was rough.
Yeah, but now Kubi with the Red Wings.
We don't talk about it, Zach. Moving on.
We don't talk about that. Just like we don't talk about Brandon Saad. Anyway. Who? What guy?
Ooh.
What? Huh? So anyway,
he doesn't exist to me anymore.
What about Panarin?
He's a Ranger. He's fine.
He's fine.
It's just the other teams, not so much.
Yeah, no, we don't talk about those teams.
No.
So it's nice to see the Whale on the scoreboard. They did score 5 goals this weekend. Several of them were from Kennedy Marchment. So they are still in the bottom of the standings.
Is she related to Mason Marchment?
She is. They are cousins.
Oh, that's cute. Okay.
But it was good to see them out doing the thing and doing well. Again, they have several games. They actually have several games in hand from the top 4 in the standings, but they're no longer in the basement of the standings. They are in 5th place in the league with 2 wins, 2 losses, and 1 OT loss. Below them, we've got the Force with 3 wins and 3 losses. And at the very bottom, we have the Buffalo Buttes, who are 1-2-1 prior to this weekend. Or actually, no, that includes this weekend because they also got delayed because we were playing the Buttes that weekend. The snowstorm in Buffalo delayed those games.
I mean, they got like 6 feet of snow.
Yeah, it was a lot of snow.
If you need a snowmobile to drive around,
how do you even dig yourself out of that at that point? Because it's like above your door.
I don't even know.
If you have a 2-story house, go through the top window and just jump off the roof.
Just cannonball off the top window into the 7 feet of snow.
But then how do you get out?
Hope and prayer.
Trudge.
Wear snowshoes.
Put your tennis racket snowshoes on when you jump out of the window.
Something.
Or you could be like the guy. Or you could be like the guy I saw on TikTok who uses a flamethrower to just clear off his entire driveway.
I mean,
that feels really dangerous if you're trying to get out of your house.
Yeah.
Because
obviously don't do that.
Angle on a flamethrower when you're indoors trying to get outdoors.
Well, no, that's why you do when you're already outside, so that doesn't happen.
But we were talking about how to get out.
How do you get out of the snow though once you jump in it? Flamethrowers.
Well, then you have to jump into it with a flamethrower.
That feels extra dangerous.
The logistics here, I don't really know.
It sounds too dangerous. Yeah.
I think I would just stay in my house and wait till like the city figured out how to clear it.
Yeah,
like
right.
That definitely sounds like a stay inside, make warm, toasty foods, and just kind of wait for the snow to melt a little bit.
And just watch hockey all day, because why not?
And hope you don't have Dish, because if you got Dish, that thing's covered in snow and you're not watching it.
You're done. Yeah, sorry. You might want to pull out your phone and stream instead, because if you got satellite, you ain't watching much of anything. So... so Friday night hockey is always exciting for me, especially in the PHF, because it's not super late in the day. It's not like a 10 o'clock start. I believe the game started at 7.
That's not bad.
So I was at an Iceman game and I had my earbud in and I was listening, and like I had my phone with the broadcast up and it was just in my lap. So I was listening to the Whale game while watching the Iceman game. And then like something would happen and I'd be like, okay.
Like hockeyception right there.
There have been times where all 3 of my teams have been playing the Hawks, the Iceman, and the Whale. And I will be watching the Whale game and I will have the text updates all turned on for every single thing for the Hawks game. And I'm watching the Iceman game. And it's just...
Hey Beth, I think you need to get into hockey somewhere. I don't think you have enough hockey in your life.
Probably. I mean, there's always more hockey. Let's be honest.
I know the feel when the Ice Hogs, Blackhawks, and Leafs all play at the exact same time.
Yeah. See, I do love an early weekend PHF game because, like, I was able to watch the Whale game on Saturday before I went to the Iceman game on Saturday.
We stand some afternoon hockey here.
Yeah.
I like an all-day hockey fest is honestly the most perfect day. Like just all day.
When
just
games start at noon and you just have to park yourself in front of the TV.
Yeah, and then it's like midnight. You're like, wait, it's already midnight?
And I've been watching hockey all day.
Oh no!
No complaints about that at all.
It's even better when your team is not a part of it, because then you're not emotionally invested. You can just watch some great hockey and enjoy it.
Just make sure you get some food delivered. Get some pizza or some good stuff, and just why not?
You know how on Instagram it pops up like, you should make a reel from this, and it like shows all your stories. One of them popped up from the past Stanley Cup playoffs, where it was a Game 7 OT, and I shared it on my Instagram story and said Game 7 OTs hit different when you're not emotionally invested in either team.
Exactly.
Because when it's the Hawks and it's Game 7 OT, my heart is going like 472 beats per minute, and I like am sitting on the floor in the fetal position.
Especially when they should have won in regulation. But then it was called off for no actual reason.
But
they got to beat Detroit twice, so it's fine.
It's true. Yeah, but like those games are also like a cardiovascular workout. because
how good is your heart? Let's see if it withstands the Blackhawks treatment.
See, I always think that, like, this is great when it's not my team, but then somehow during the course of the game, I become, like, emotionally invested in one of them that I want to win. I'm like, well, now I'm just in the same exact situation. What the heck, self?
I will get emotionally, like, I will get partially emotionally attached. Like, I mean, obviously, we did not see the Blackhawks in the playoffs last year, and the three of us all chose teams to root for. Mm-hmm. Courtney and I were the correct ones. We decided to cheer for the correct teams.
The team... Rangers, though.
Woof!
So good. So good.
Zach's like, I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna leave right now.
I don't want to talk about the Rangers in the playoffs last year. I don't.
No. What happened?
I don't know. You know, that's a good question. I don't remember. I had a hockey amnesia for the last like 2 rounds of the playoffs. I don't remember. I took an extended break.
Yeah, I do wish they would have beat Tampa, but I guess the eventual Cup winners dethroning Tampa is fine.
I mean, yeah, but that would have been really interesting though to see, like, you know, with Courtney's 2 picks against each other in the final. That would have been.
Courtney would have combusted. Okay, we don't need that.
I would have loved the YouTube videos of that series. Just like
I would have been very conflicted.
She would have been very conflicted. Like her chaos would have just combusted, and then
I think I still would have gone Avs because of Kadri, but
yeah.
But I mean, you mean like Jesse Comfort's brother JT was in the Cup final?
Yeah. We stand Jesse Comfort. But like, I'm not as emotionally invested. Like, I was not as emotionally invested in the Avs as I was for any of the Blackhawks Stanley Cup playoff runs.
It never reaches that level.
It never reaches that level. So like, my heart rate increased slightly for overtime, but it wasn't like
well, if you want some heart rates, how about the Blackhawks 15 series against the Ducks? And you're just like, this is gonna be fun. I would love just to see this, and then it's
oh, you mean the one where Jonathan Taves killed Frederick Anderson?
Yeah. And then whoever we got from Arizona, I forget his name. It always escapes me. Like he scores, has to jump. Scores has to jump over the Ducks player who's lying on the ice after scoring the game winner. You're just like, okay.
I love Verme. That was such a good acquisition.
I still laugh at the Andrew Shaw like headbutt goal.
Shin pads.
The headbutt should have been a goal.
It should have been a goal. There was nothing in the rules that said that was not allowed.
Didn't Marcus Kruger eventually score the game winner in that game? Like in triple overtime?
I think so. You want to talk about overtime. Triple OT. Check
those Blackhawks championship teams and their freaking overtimes.
I remember, I think it was the 2015 season, like game 1 of the playoffs. Went to OT, and I was like, well, this is setting the tone for how the rest of this.
Yeah, it really did. Yeah, no.
And surely enough, it set the tone for how the rest of the playoffs were going, because there was so much overtime. And I had to be at work. I worked at the gym on base during that run. I had to be at work at 4 a.m.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I
was during the first round, I was going through finals in my last year of college.
I just started my first semester of graduate school in 2015. That was great.
I had to be at work at 4 a.m.
Oh
so
gosh.
There were several triple OT games when they were on the West Coast that I just didn't go to bed.
I mean, one of those Nashville games ended at like 2 a.m. Central Time.
Yeah, I did not go to bed that night, and I just went to work and worked 8 hours, and then came home and stayed up, and then just went to bed at a normal.
Oh my gosh!
If I would have gone to bed when I got home, it was like 2 p.m. So I would have been up at like 9.
Yeah, that's kind of like the 2014 Winter Olympics, though, because I would stay up all night to watch the hockey, and then I would go to class the next day, and I would be like dead, just laying on the table, like I can't. And all my professors were like, "Late night hockey?" It's like, yes.
Yeah.
See, at least they get it. It's like, okay, well, you know.
She was in Chicago, so
I was, and that was like during the golden years. So.
Yes, I mean it makes sense. Yeah, I don't want to talk about 2014 though. If we're talking about Chicago,
nope. Moving on.
That was before all that had happened. Anyway,
yeah. Moving on, because we're not going to dive down that rabbit hole, because then we will all just be extra angry, and you really don't want that.
There's a lot of angry moments. Like there's a lot.
Are.
Especially like Arizona and Marion Host.
No,
stop it.
That might be worse than 14. We're moving on.
Yes, we are moving on. So the next series we'll talk about for the PHF, we had the Riveters visiting the Toronto Six. They also split the weekend. So the Rivs won on Saturday 3-2. That was a really fun game. I kind of followed along with that. I was watching the Whale game, so I was not also watching the Rivs in the Six. But it was a good pace game. There weren't a lot of penalties. The Rivs have been trying to be a little more disciplined this season, which is nice to see, because normally they just fill up the stat sheet with PIMs and not necessarily goals. But also the Rivs made a move, and Zach and I were like, this is the best thing ever.
Oh my God.
The Rivs have a new goalie. They signed Katie Burt on Friday to a 1-year contract.
Yeah, like probably the most shut down goalie last year. I think it was like what, a 1.41 goals against and a save percentage like 940 something. Yeah, like 940 something. Wow. Oh, she was
lights out last season.
The only reason why the Pride, even though they were 4th seed and still won it last year, because she literally stood on her head the entire playoffs because she was a brick wall. That's like she uses her stick as a chair.
You just stole that. Yes, she uses her goalie stick as a chair. I have pictures of it from the PHF playoffs, because I was like,
I'm pretty sure
every TV timeout
used to do that.
I think Brizzy did too. My birthday twin.
We love Briz.
It was the best part was because the fact that Katie Burt actually like posted your story on her story too.
Yeah,
that's fantastic.
Yes. So,
goalies
but
are just special. I love goalies.
They are
great. You gotta love the goalies. But yeah, signing her though to the Rivs is like, all right, well, here you go. The Rivs are going all in. They're getting one of the best
signing.
goalies.
Yeah, like, and also she wears 88.
PK.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, here's my thing though. Like, how does she not get on an opening night roster? Like, that's
what I was wondering. You're saying they just signed her.
Yeah,
so
like, one of the best goalies, and it's like, nah.
I don't know, but honestly, obviously the Pride made a good choice in Corinne Schroeder, because she just set the PHF record for shutouts in a season with 4, and we're like 4 weeks into the season.
I made the prediction of her going 5 straight games with a shutout. She almost did.
She went 3.
Got 3.
Wait, so the Rivs have her too?
No, the Rivs.
She's on the
Rivs do not. She's on the Pride. So the Pride did not have Katie Burt, but also
so they didn't re-sign her. Okay.
It's a little mind crazy watching the Rivs right now, because Katie Burt does not have a Rivs goalie mask. It's still her Pride goalie mask.
Yeah.
So she's got like red, white, and blue pads, but is wearing her Boston Pride bucket.
I mean, they are pretty expensive. They take forever to get to.
They take forever to get done, but honestly, it's worth the wait because they're always perfection.
Oh, for sure.
It's funny when like goalies are traded mid-season and they have that.
Well, you mean like Flower having to like put gold on his Blackhawks fancy helmet because he never stopped wearing his Native American Heritage Month helmet after.
I mean, it is pretty nice. Oh, it's funny because I was watching the Checkers game last night. I was playing the Phantoms, and JF Berube was playing in net for the Checkers. He still has
ice hug.
He was wearing a Columbus Blue Jackets mask in that game. And the Checkers are the affiliate of the Panthers. It's like nice, of course. It's funny how it's goalies just wear different helmets. You're like, this something doesn't add, something doesn't belong here.
So having talked to several goalies about helmets, like they're very particular about the fit of a helmet. And if they can't get the helmet redone in time to have it to play, then they just don't get it redone. So if like, I mean, most goalies in the off season don't really take an off season. They still go out and goalie. And so there's not enough time to get the mask sent off and repainted and come back.
I mean,
and not have to break in a whole new helmet.
If there's any player you want to be happy with their equipment, it's the goaltender, especially
for sure,
especially their mask. Because if it doesn't fit exactly how they want it to, like that's always on their face and head, and that would be so distracting during a game.
Yeah. Well, and I saw a thing. I've never seen this before. This weekend, I saw a goaltender who was also wearing a mouth guard. Yeah, that was the same look I made.
Huh.
So I believe his first name is Lucas Perique from the Utah Grizzlies. Wears a mouth guard under his goalie helmet. So every time he went to take a drink of water, he would pull the mask up, spit his mouth guard into his glove, drink water, put his mouth guard back in his mouth, and then put his mask back down.
He can't drink water with the mouth guard in?
I guess not.
I guess.
I mean, goalies are weird. Come on now.
Goalies.
Goalies.
It's like, yeah, no, that makes sense. It's just it's universal goalies. It's like
he was also like maybe 95% water fountain because he would take like a small sip of water and then spit the rest of it out in beautiful fashion.
Okay, Braden Holtby.
So back to scores because we've got gloating to do.
Yes,
you have to remember we have gloating to do. So the Rivs and the Six also split the weekend series. Today the Six won 5-2. The Rivs just didn't wake up. Like they looked slow today. Very, very slow. So it was a rough game to watch. That's what I was watching before we started recording. And then we have the Boston Pride who are just on a tear this season.
Oh, I'm shocked.
Versus,
the Boston Pride.
Aren't they usually?
No, actually they're not.
No?
Usually they are, like last season, they were in the basement and won the Izzy. So
I mean, well, they are.
They
the
still find a way.
Well, they're the back-to-back champs for a reason. So it
Yeah.
sounds like they're not really ever on a tear, but it's still the Boston Pride. So it's like you can
last year
really...
they couldn't stay out of the box, and because they couldn't stay on the box, lots of people scored lots of goals on them.
That's fair.
But they were in Buffalo. I feel bad for Buffalo because yesterday was teddy bear toss night, and they had to wait till after the game to throw their teddy bears because the Pride beat them 3-0. And
how anticlimactic,
right? Like that is always my biggest fear on teddy bear toss night. Like, what if we get shut out and I don't get to throw these bears, and then I'm stuck with them for the entire game?
Yeah, which that's the thing. It's a crazy part though. Is like you look at the Buttes roster, like we thought, oh, okay, well they got Grant Manis, they got all these other great players. Like they're pretty much getting everybody. And
they have the goaltender from the reigning NCAA women's hockey champions, the Ohio State Buckeyes. Like they have Cassidy Suave.
And
she got pulled today with 15 minutes left in the third period.
Oof.
Because she'd let 5 go behind her. Well, I mean, she didn't let. Obviously, it's a team game.
Here you go.
Hold on, let me just
give you a goal.
Her defense basically just disappeared and it pulled a Goldberg, just threw her gloves down here, just take the net.
Just take it. But and then I mean, today there were 12 goals scored in the Pride Buttes game today. At the end of the second period, it was 5-2 Pride. Then Buffalo was like, watch this. And they tied the game at 5. And then the Pride got one in. They pulled the tendy to try and even it out, and that just didn't happen. Empty net goal. But the Pride first line combined for 15 points today. Jillian Dempsey had a hat trick. Jeez. Lauren Gable had 2 goals. Jaguar had 1 goal. Dempsey had 6 points. Gable had 5, and Jaguar had 4.
I like it. It's like points. It's like a step down.
Yeah,
it's just like, talk about a line that's cooking with gas. My goodness, like
I mean,
here's the crazy part though too is the fact that the Pride outside of those 3 on their first line still have Thunstrom on the roster too, which makes it even more insane.
Allie scored yesterday.
Hell yeah!
But then they've got Corinne Schroeder in net, who has 4 shutouts this season. 4 shutouts this season.
Boston's. We thought all these other teams might be a problem. It seems like Boston's gonna be the problem this year for the Fed.
Boston is the problem right now. Like, I mean,
Hi,
if you watch,
it's me. I'm the problem.
If you watch IIHF / Olympic hockey, you know how good Lauren Gable is at hockey. Like,
yeah,
you know how good she is at hockey. So when the Pride signed her, everybody was like,
This is gonna be an issue. and then you get the Ali Thunstrom news, and you're like, okay, now this really is a problem.
Oh, okay, this is a problem. So
this is not good.
No, I mean, it was an insane game. Like the Buttes were down 5-2, and I was like, crap. And then I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh.
Hold up.
I messaged both of you. I was like, it's 5-4 Pride right now. Oh, it's tied at 5 right now. Like, it was an insane third period.
They tried to pull a Dallas against the Blackhawks.
They did. They tried.
That was a fun game to talk about on the
close.
podcast. That was great.
God, that was so, but it was a great PHF weekend. The stats are not updated, so we're not even going to go there. But they don't update them till tomorrow, so it's hard to gauge everything.
Well, actually, there's one more thing we got to talk about the PHF though too. There's a fantasy league now, Beth, because
there's fantasy PHF hockey.
Yeah, because
I haven't clicked the link. I feel like I don't know enough to effectively be a part of it.
It's all right. It's for funsies.
The people having fun fantasy hockey league. So come have fun.
Fine. Send me the link again afterward because it's been ADHD'd in my brain.
It's okay. I understand. I will send the link out again. And also, if we're probably going to toss the link out on the Twitter because we would love to play PHF fantasy hockey with you guys. So we will.
Yeah, she plays though, just fantastic. Like it's like, hey, we got fantasy hockey now. It's like,
yeah,
what?
Look, there has been a lot of hockey things that happened this week. That one just again.
Oh no,
ADHD did.
No. I'm agreeing with you. No, it's just crazy because you're like, wait, there's fantasy hockey league for the because we talked about it. It's like it'd be great if we actually able to do this, and it's like, oh, by the way.
Okay, look,
She Plays was like, here's a whole app just for fantasy hockey. You're welcome.
Yeah, this is
fantastic.
How good the PHF is getting at like including their fans and like bringing them in and getting them interested. Because I am still waiting for AHL fantasy hockey.
Trust me. Me and all the writers at Field Pass Hockey have talked about this because we would love to be able to play AHL fantasy because that would be fun to do. That would be great.
I mean, it would be very hard because of players getting called up and down to the NHL, but that's just the risk you take.
That just adds to the amazing chaos of what fantasy hockey league for the AHL would be because it's like, do I keep these guys because they might get called up? And then like, what happens if they do? Oh, drop them.
You would need like not just a IR.
You would need a reserve slot, you'd need like
a called up slot.
Yeah,
they got called up. Got to move him down.
Like the way they do it in the coast is they have like a reserve section because we get guys that come down. So you can have X number of people on an ECHL roster, but AHL players don't count against your ECHL roster. So they have an entire reserves section for non-injured people who can't play because of players that were sent down.
So we need to add a reserve slot.
Yeah. Like AHL fantasy hockey would have like 5 reserve spots and then like however many IR spots you want to do.
I just want it so badly. So good on the PHF for giving the fans what they want.
Yes. They gave us fantasy hockey. I'm so excited. Like so excited.
The team names so far are absolutely fantastic for our league though.
It's true.
Yeah, I mean, because you got the Whaley Awesome for you, Beth?
The Whaley Awesomeness. And
then Tough Mustard's mullet, which, by the way, we got confirmation from Tough Mustard herself, CJ. That she
loved it.
Yeah. Carly Jackson loves it, so we're here for it.
Yes.
Because the mullet is just great.
I mean, she's just a beaut in general.
And honestly, she was a beaut. Now she's a
yes.
But her mask this season is also phenomenal because when you look at it, it just looks like a plain white bucket. But if you look around the face hole, it is rainbow.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, so it is.
Like
it's super slick.
Like up a picture of that.
I sent you the picture. Your brain definitely ADHD'd
Did you?
it.
Wow.
I did. Your brain was like, nah.
She is one of our favorite players / tendies in the league. So,
yeah.
I mean,
so but it's got like rainbow just around the opening behind the cage, and it is so clean and also so amazing because when you just glance at it, it's like, oh, it's a white helmet, whatever, and then you're like, wait a minute,
hold on, I see color.
What do I see here? So it is super awesome. And then before we talk about the very interestingness that is the Blackhawks, we want to give a shout out to the sponsors of our show. Of course, we've got our friends at In the Clutch Apparel. If you head over to intheclutch.com, you can shop all of their officially licensed merchandise. We'll hockey in the discounts at checkout. You can get 10% off of your order. Courtney's like, merchandise?
I mean, they do have vintage hockey t-shirts. You got the Atlanta Thrashers,
Chicago Cougars,
the Cincinnati Mighty Ducks. So I mean,
wow,
the Cincinnati Sting. So
yeah. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, we have our friends at Level Up Snacks, where you still shop at shockedhydrate.com. They have amazing no crash energy drinks. Go shop to your heart's content. Pop Whoa Hockey in at checkout to get also 10% off of your order. And of course, we have our favorite people at Canadips. So Canadips are little CBD pouches. You don't need a spitter. It's just CBD. You can swallow it. You don't have to worry about carrying around a nasty cup and getting yelled at for putting it on the table. You just get a little pouch, you pop it in your cheek, and then when you're done, you throw it away. Or if you don't have a trash can, you just pop it into the top of your Canadips container so that you can throw it away later, because we don't litter. So if you head over to canadips.com/bellyup, you're going to get 20% off of your order, and the flavors are awesome. And it's good CBD. I mean, I'm sure all three of us here can attest that CBD is literally good for everything.
Yeah.
If it's a life problem, CBD will help with it. So
essentially, yes.
Essentially. So guys, the Blackhawks are bad.
I mean, it was kind of be expected.
But like, they're not playing bad. It's confusing.
Well, I mean, when you have an amazing tendy like Arvid Soderblom in net, I mean,
my boy.
I mean, when he carries the team, you might have a decent chance of maybe winning some games.
He's playing so well, and I am so proud of him. But I miss him in Rockford a lot. Yeah. And I really wish that the Blackhawks would get him some wins here and there, but
I mean
17-15 or 7-15-4 is rough.
I mean,
because they're not playing badly.
They are last in the division.
They're just not good.
They are behind the Arizona Coyotes.
They
have a worse goal differential than the Arizona Coyotes. Not the last in the league.
Connor Bedard might be going either Columbus or whoever else the other
Anaheim
or the. Could you imagine Connor Bedard with Zegras?
Look, if he can't come to Chicago, I would be here for it because
that would be a disgusting line with having like those two combined, and
that would be
McTavish is somewhere in the mix of that. It's like, okay, sure, no problem.
It's so funny because right now there are so many dude bros on the internet who are trying to explain the NHL draft lottery to Blackhawks fans like we are not experienced in this.
Jonathan
we
Taves
all
and
know,
Patrick Kane, by the way.
We all know that there is only an 18.5% chance that we acquire the number one draft pick if we finish in the basement of the league.
Right. But
we all
want
know that.
The best chance.
But we want the best chance. And honestly, the beginning of the season, we were all kind of like, crap, what is happening? Mm-hmm. Hold on, wait. And then we were like, okay. This is what we were expecting. But I was expecting worse hockey.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we have seen some worse hockey, though. I mean, the Dallas game was pretty bad. We've had a couple blowouts.
A couple bad games, but
they look
overall
like they have life, though. Like they're skating.
Yes. Like last season, they looked dead.
Yeah, well, I think it's the Davidson effect. I think just because the fact of
and the Richardson,
yes. Well, him too. Yeah,
Richard.
Yeah, both.
I think the sun effect.
Yeah, it's because Luke Richardson does such a good job of like getting these guys to like play for him and play for the team. Like he even knows it because like the first episode of the new series that they were doing. I mean, it's nice to see that he understands that okay, we're not going to win every game, but we're going to at least try. At least it's better than we saw last year, where it was like, oh, we're playing hockey. Cool. We'll just go through the motions and see what happens. At least this year it's kind of like, okay, I can actually watch hockey and actually feel somewhat okay in the fact that, all right, we might lose, but at least they gave a damn.
The games are at least somewhat entertaining. Last year was just boring because there was no identity. The team wasn't playing as a team. It was just a bunch of like individuals out there skating.
Just a lot of dudes out there doing hockey stuff.
Yeah, now they're playing as a team and they're playing hard.
And honestly, I was expecting this season to look like last season when it came to the product on the ice. Because we all know this team is not built to win.
Right.
It is not built for winning things. We've won 7 games, which is some sort of miracle. We're already doing better than I thought we were going to do by winning 7 games this season. But I was expecting to be upset because it was going to be bad hockey. And it hasn't really been bad hockey. Like they're not winning because they're not built to win, and they are fulfilling that purpose in their hockey life, but they're not playing poorly.
There's been a lot more close games than I expected. Like, of course, we've had blowouts against the Bruins and then the first in the Central Jets, but it's been closer. They've been actually fighting. I mean, also like actually fighting.
They've been fighting, but actually fighting as well.
I think,
they've been hard on the forecheck and fighting for the puck and playing like they have an actual purpose. The team's just not good.
I think this was more so upsetting last year was the fact that like you saw the roster. You're like, okay, we saw the preseason. Like, okay, this team actually might do something this year. Okay, maybe we accelerate the rebuild. Maybe we'll actually squeak into the playoffs and stuff like that. And it's like, nope. And then it was just like we talked about a few minutes ago, just bad, boring hockey all season. And this year
they didn't get a win till November.
Right. And then this year it's kind of and then this year it's kind of like, okay, well, we know we're gonna be bad. We've all accepted it, but but what you're saying, Courtney, and you too, Beth, it's like, okay, it's actually entertaining hockey. Like we're actually invested and we're not as hurt or as upset that we're losing because it's like, okay, well, we kind of knew this was gonna happen, but at least I can actually sit here watching the entire game and be like, okay, it was close, or okay, we got blown out, but I mean that's to be expected. But at least I can actually invest my time and my emotions watching this team rather than last year where it's like I don't even want to watch these guys because I know what's going to happen.
Even in the blowouts, though, there have been moments.
Where
it's like, like there have been moments of almost greatness. Like obviously you're getting blown out, so there's not a lot of greatness. But there have been moments where it's just like, wait, and you see something, especially from a lot of the younger guys on the squad.
Oh, yeah.
Where you see these sparks of things that we saw in the good old days, in the times where the winning things happened. And it's like you can look a few years into the future because we all know this year ain't going to be the year. And next year definitely probably ain't going to be the year either. But you can see what this team has the potential to be in 3 or 4 years.
And I think a lot of that comes down to the play style that Richardson is trying to implement as well. Just being hard on every puck. And you saw that from the Avs in the playoffs last year. Like their forecheck was insane.
Yeah.
And that led to a lot of their wins.
Yeah. Well, you look at how Davidson's like forming the roster too. It's like you're seeing that he has a clear idea of what they want to do with the team. And he even said it's like it's going to take at least 3 to 5 years for playoff contention. At first, you're kind of like, okay, that sucks to hear, but when we're actually seeing the process, like, okay, we can actually buy into the 3-year plan of like, all right, it's going to take a bit, but like with this past draft, we got some really good players in the first round. Then it's like, and you see what happens after that, and just go however free agency works out, however re-signs or trade acquisitions or stuff like that. Like even with all the young guys that are coming up, like I know Soderblom's technically should be in Rockford, but of course, as Courtney said
our broken Tendy system.
Yeah, like what Courtney says in her videos on From Center Ice, which are phenomenal, by the way, if no one's seen them yet. It's like, does anyone have a spare goalie? Because at this point, we don't really have any goalies on it, but I love Soderblom. I'm excited for him as our future goalie. I think he should be the number one either next year or the year after that. Like very soon in the next 2 seasons, he's going to be our guy, and I'm here for it.
Does anyone know if Scott Foster is available?
I mean, it's not tax season, so maybe.
Well, it's almost tax season.
It's almost tax season. But maybe by the time it is, like, one of the other two will be back.
At this point, like, who knows? But
yeah,
I also
give Zarek back in time. It's like, hey.
I also think the goaltending has a lot to do with the games being watchable this season, though, because like when Stalock was in net, like the absolute
he's so fun.
You never know what's going to happen, and I hope he is back soon from that concussion.
Yeah,
and then you have Mrazek, and despite what his numbers say, he's actually playing very well for the Blackhawks. He just has a really bad stat line, and I feel kind of bad for him because it does not indicate how he's been playing for them at all. And then when those two are injured or not playing, then you have, like Zach was saying, the goaltender of the future that you can watch. And he had a couple of pretty poor outings last season, and a lot of Blackhawks fans were down on him. But again, last year's team, not good. No. But now he
should have been good, not good.
Yeah.
But he got that experience and then had some playoff experience with the Ice Hogs, and then got a whole nother summer to work on things, and he's come in and he's played very well for the Blackhawks in a position where he wasn't supposed to be in, and it was just thrust into. He's the number one guy right now because we don't have anybody else.
Yeah,
and he's been playing so well.
I would just wish someone would pronounce his name correctly, which would be fantastic.
They need to get him
at least
and his brother
consistently wrong.
Yeah, they need to get him and his brother in the same room. Because I was having this conversation on Twitter the other day, and need to figure out exactly what the pronunciation is.
We got the pronunciation guide, though. Use
I know
that.
I know.
Him and his brother,
they say it differently.
It differently. They are from the same family, and they say their names differently.
Look, I can hear the argument between Soderblom and Soderblom.
Yes.
Fine. What I can't deal with is Soderblom.
It's not Soder. It's not solder. There's no AUR in there. It's SO. There's no A there.
I think it's the umlaut that throws everybody off, but
that's not the sound that an umlaut makes. Like,
right. Just say it as O. Then just say Soderblom. Just say it as an actual O. Don't even look at the umlauts. Make it easy. Work harder, work smarter, not harder.
Right. What really drove me nuts was them talking about it on the broadcast. Like, we still haven't decided how to say it. Ask the guy. Ask
literally
him.
After the game, go down to the locker room and be like, "Hey, Arvid, how are you? Good game today. So tell me, how would you like me to say your name?" Right. My dad did that before every single game he announced when he worked for the Admirals. If there was a new guy he had never talked about before, never said his name before, visitor, home team, doesn't matter. He would go to the respective locker rooms and say, "Hey, coach, I'm Don. I'm the PA announcer. I just want to ask you, how do I say this guy's name?" Mm-hmm. And if the coach didn't know it because they were that new, he would be like, hey, you. What's the new guy's name? So like,
all you have to do. But talking about it on the broadcast, like, oh, we haven't figured out how to say it yet. Like,
Chris, what are we doing?
You literally worked for the team, and it wasn't even really Chris. It was Colby and Pat on the intermission and post game and pregame talking about it.
Yeah,
well, but Chris pronounces like 15 different ways, and it's like, guys, we need to nail this down.
That drives me crazy. Like,
it's
Soderblom. It's like, no, that is an O. It makes an O sound.
He's literally part of the team. You work for the team. Just ask.
Zaki will not yell at you if you ask a question. You work for this organization.
He might, but like, don't ask Rocky. Ask somebody else. Ask Arvid.
Ask Danny.
If you don't want to ask Arvid, like, just go ask Luke. Be like, "Hey, coach,
how you say his name?
Just want to get a confirmation on how this name is pronounced."
Just like the PR guy. Ask somebody.
With Kevy last year, the bajillion different ways they said his name when it is on the website. Him saying his name, Kevin Lonkinen.
Well,
poor Colin Delia.
To be fair, though, we also butchered Lonkinen's name a lot last year until Courtney. What, second episode in or first one? I can't remember which one.
It was on the first one, but we didn't know.
Yeah, but then it's like, it's Lonkinen.
She has more intimate knowledge because she goes to Ice Hogs games and has seen him play longer than we did. We didn't know, so we went with what was said on the broadcast, which was Lankinen,
which is what you would do. Like you would assume the people calling the games know how to say the names.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
So
exactly.
when she told us that no, it's not Lankinen, it's Lonkinen, we both went, crap, we feel like dirt.
And here's him saying it.
And she was like, go to the website. They have the video clip of him saying it. And if you go to Hockey Reference, they literally have a league-wide pronunciation guide for almost every player who is active in the NHL right now. Every single one. And you want to know what it says for Kevin Lonkinen? It says Kevin, Lahn, Lonkinen. Lonkinen. It says it right there. And it even tells you at the top, like the double A sounds like this in this word. And a single O sounds like this. And like it says it right there.
Do your homework, guys. Just do your homework. It's not that hard. It takes 5 seconds. Google is your friend. Seriously. Google is your friend.
No, we're not talking to you, Siri.
So, as we were talking about the goaltender of the future, we do have our wonderful friend Miss Dagger here on the podcast, and she gets to see the Blackhawks of the future because she lives in Rockford.
I do.
And she gets to see our baby Hawks because she goes to the Piggies games.
I do.
So, give us a rundown on what we can hopefully, I mean, we don't have SB anymore as our general manager, so
we might actually keep our prospects.
Give us a rundown of the prospects we might actually get to see play in Chicago, because they probably won't be traded because we no longer have that GM who trades first-round draft picks anymore.
You mean Lucas Reichel is actually safe from going somewhere that we don't want?
Potentially. I mean,
maybe
we can't make any guarantees, but they are actually developing him as he should be developed as a young hockey player.
Thankfully.
I started with the goaltenders, and I'll just work my way forward.
Wow, starting with goalies? Who could have saw that?
The goalies, and the Piggies are really missing their starting goaltender because they had him for the first 2 games of the season, and that's it. Just the first 2 games. But the good news is that between Weeks and Wells and Stauber, when he's not backing up Arvid, when both of the goaltenders are injured, they have really been keeping the Ice Hogs afloat, and they've been doing it well, but they've been doing it by committee. So you do miss that consistency with knowing who the guy is going to be. But those 3 have actually been doing a very good job. The Ice Hogs sit 3rd in the Central Division right now with a record of 12, 7, 1, and 2 since the AHL splits up overtime losses and shootout losses for whatever reason.
So it's the AHL. There's so many things.
They're only behind Milwaukee and Texas. The Chicago Wolves are last in the Central Division, by the way.
Milwaukee's a problem.
The Rosemont Wolves?
The Rosemont Wolves, yes.
Yeah.
So the Piggies have been doing well. They started a little slow offensively. They couldn't get a whole lot going in the goal front, and they were allowing more than they wanted to. But as they started playing together more, because they had a lot of new guys come in this year, they've really gotten that offense picking back up, and they've been heating up. And so we've seen good things from them lately. They're 6-2, 1-1 in their last 10. So things are looking pretty decent there record-wise, but nothing really exciting to talk about with the goaltenders because I don't see any of them jumping up to the NHL. So until we get Arvid back, I can't really give you a Piggy goaltender report, but I am happy that those 3 have been able to get some really good games in, and it's good for them. Maybe they'll get a job somewhere else next year if we get Drew Comesso, or maybe they'll stick around if Comesso stays in college. Who knows? So then we go to defense, which might be the biggest interest outside of Reichel for Blackhawks fans because there's a lot of defensive prospects. And of course, I will start off with my boy, Isaac Phillips. He is on the top pairing. He played, let's see, they played Friday and Saturday, unfortunately losing both to the Iowa Wild because that is just what the Ice Hogs do. They lose to the Iowa Wild. Thankfully, both of them did go to overtime, though, so they got points out of them. But Isaac played something like 27 minutes on Friday.
Whoa.
Whew.
Yeah.
Wow.
Whew. Is he like training to become the next Duncan Keith? Because
perhaps
just protect his teeth, though. Protect his teeth.
Yeah. He leads the entire American Hockey League in plus minus. Like not even just defensemen or just Ice Hogs, the entire American Hockey League in plus minus.
So he's a good guy to have on the ice is what you're saying.
Yes, I feel very comfortable when he is on the ice. Unfortunately, last night's game, he was on the ice for 2 goals. They weren't his fault, but he was on the ice for those. But amongst defensemen in the American Hockey League, he is 10th in points. He has 2 goals, 14 assists for 16 points. So he's putting up more points this year than we saw last year, which is nice. They never use him in an offensive role, which kind of drives me crazy because he has a good shot and he has a good eye for the ice and like setting up his teammates, and he's not afraid to jump up into the play. But from what I hear, they want to use him more as like a defensive guy, which is fine because he's good at that too. But he's a really good two-way player, so like let him do it. But
let's be honest, the Blackhawks could use a shutdown defenseman. And
I think that's kind of why they are trying to mold him that way.
Yeah.
But he has started shooting the puck more at 5-on-5, and that's where you're seeing most of these points coming from. So I'm glad that he has started doing that more. It's good to see because he has a really good shot, and I think it surprises a lot of teams because he doesn't use it all that often. So when he does, something good typically happens. But I could go on forever about Isaac. So I will move on to Mr. Pickles, Alex Vlasic. He has 1 goal and 5 assists on the season so far. He's been used on the power play a bit with Ian Mitchell up with the Blackhawks. And his long reach has been working out for him because, you know, he's a tall boy.
Just a little.
But he's actually been very effective for the Piggies. He's kind of a quiet but effective type player, which is what a lot of the defensemen are, really, outside of Isaac and Ian Mitchell when he's down here, and Adam Clendenning, but he's not a prospect, so I'm not going to talk about him. So those guys, you will see them more like jumping up into plays and making things happen, whereas the other guys on defense down here, maybe aside from Regula as well, he'll jump up there, but they're more of the quiet but effective type guys, although none of them are really defensive defensemen, so not like Nicholas Hjalmarsson type quiet but effective, but maybe more like TJ Brody with Toronto. Like he'll get points, but you never really think, oh, there's Brody on the ice. He's just like doing his thing and doing
Honestly,
it well.
With defensemen, I very much prefer not having those moments of like, oh, there's Seth Jones on the ice.
Exactly.
I don't like those moments with a defenseman. Defensemen should be like effective and invisible.
Yeah, it's like, oh, they're just doing their job. We're not screaming at them because bad things are happening.
Oh yeah, unless you're like Kel McCarr and those guys are like, oh, like they scored another goal because
Hale is just
he's a cheat code. He's a cheat code.
He's just the Connor McDavid of defensemen. I don't know. So Vlasic has been pretty good. Galvis, also another one of those quiet but effective guys. He's putting up more points this year. He's got 1 goal, 11 assists, and just out there doing his job, doing it pretty well. Regula, he's often paired with Isaac now that Mitchell, again, is up with the Blackhawks. He's got 2 goals, 4 assists. We kind of know what Regula is at this point. He's just working on the little details of his game. Not necessarily a bad thing because he is very good. He was getting in some penalty trouble this weekend, though, which is a little annoying, but that happens from time to time. And then we have Crevier down here as well, and he's only got 2 assists on the season, but he's been a lot better than I was expecting because I didn't really know what to expect from him, honestly. I didn't know his game when he was was he in college or junior? I can't remember. But before he came and turned pro, I didn't really know anything about his game. But he's also a very tall boy, and he has been paired with Vlasic. So that pairing, like,
it's like a mini Towers of Power situation going
pretty
on.
Much.
Like, because the Devils have Hamilton and Graves on a defensive pairing, and it's like, oh look, 47 feet of defensemen coming down the ice. How exciting!
Have fun with that.
They're huge. And he just makes really smart plays all the time. Like, again, I've said this about most of them, but quiet but effective. He's just back there. They do their thing. They get the puck out. They go the other way. Somebody else jumps on the ice, you know? So when it comes to the defensive prospects, I think there's not really one to be down on because they're all just kind of doing their jobs. And that's what you want. Like some guys,
a very welcome change from the last couple of seasons.
Defensemen
doing their jobs.
I know.
What?
There's obviously some that stick out more. Like Ian Mitchell's really good on the power play. He's just really good offensively in general. He's got a bomb from the point. I wish the Blackhawks would throw him on the power play a bit more while he's up there. See what they got. And then you have Isaac that's just never not on the ice. So you notice him and he's always winning board battles. So like you have the guys that will stick out more than others, but none of them are playing poorly, which is really nice to see. Yeah. So that is good. Then we move to the forwards. And of course, everybody wants to hear about Lucas Reichel. He has 11 goals and 13 assists on the season. So he's doing well. He's getting points. He's somehow scoring at a slower rate than it seemed like he was last year, but the whole team started slow, like I said, offensively, and he was definitely part of that. But now that he's started picking up, he's been getting points more consistently, and like really important ones too, like winning a game or setting up a game-tying goal. And if it came to doing more of that rather than just lighting the AHL on fire, I would take quality over quantity any day.
Yes.
Because it shows that he has like game awareness. Like, oh, we really need a goal right now. I'm going to make it happen.
We really need a goal. Let me go take care of that for you.
Yeah. Like it kind of seems like he's the guy that does that out there for the Ice Hogs. He's playing with more confidence, but he is still kind of suffering from overpassing syndrome. Think like Baby Kaner, like always passing the puck instead of just shooting it. But when he does shoot it,
always passing the puck instead of shooting it.
There you go. Yeah. But when he does shoot it, he's got such a good shot. So he has it. It's not like that's something he needs to work on. Of course, players work on their shots every offseason. So I'm not saying like it is where it is going to be and it's never going to get better. But he has a very good shot. I just wish he would use it more.
Yeah.
But he is a fun player to watch out there. He did get hit with a knee yesterday, which didn't look comfortable. He didn't miss any time. He stayed in the game. But yeah, the Piggies weren't happy about that, and they roughed up the Wild a little bit. So
darn.
Yeah, hopefully he's okay from that. But Reichel is fun. He's been good. He'll be good once he gets that call up to the NHL to stay full time. He's just not ready yet, and that's fine. He needs to get stronger. He needs to be harder on the puck, and it'll come.
I do love how the Blackhawks are calling him up for a game or two, and then they're like, you know, here's your little taste. You've been playing good, so we're gonna give you just this little sip. Here you go. Yep. Okay, now go keep playing good. Like, because honestly, that's what you should do with a prospect.
Exactly. And it seems to be working because when they called him up when Taves was sick, he didn't get any points, obviously, because none of the team got any points because they got shut out. 3-0 for the second time in a row. But then he came back to Rockford, played the very next night, got the game-tying goal, and then the shootout winning goal. So something is working.
That shootout goal,
that shootout was beautiful.
On Askarov, even. So he like came way out to challenge Reichel, and he just like flipped it over him like it was no big deal. It was crazy.
The confidence.
It's fine. I've got this. Yeah. It's fine.
The kid is good, but we also have Cole Gutman down here, and I know a lot of people noticed him during like the rookie showcase and during training camp and all of that. He's got 6 goals, 6 assists. He's scored the go-ahead goal last night before Iowa eventually tied it up and then won in overtime. But that was on the power play. He kind of had a slower start to the season as well, which is not really what I was expecting, seeing how he was so good in the prospect showcase.
Power play goals? What are those?
I know.
Yeah, what's that? What's
are those?
What's a power play?
I know. The Ice Hogs are third in the Central Division on the power play with a 19.5% efficiency rate. So, yeah.
So someone's figured out how to do a power play correctly.
So the future's looking a little bright.
They can score goals now. But Gutman's out there. He's been playing with some more confidence lately, and I think that's really what was killing this team to begin with, was they just didn't know each other. So they were figuring things out, but now they look like they know what they're doing, so they are playing with more confidence. And he was very noticeable on the ice this weekend, at least, because he was out there. He was trying to get through all the defenders and trying to make things happen when the Ice Hogs needed goals. He got his goal, and I don't know, I was just happy for him because he was just trying to do everything out there, and then it worked out. So good for him. And then we have Josiah Slavin, last but not least here. He's a bit slower on the score sheet this year. He's got 1 goal, 4 assists, but he is used on the PK, and the Ice Hogs have a penalty kill percentage of 81.3. So
nice.
Yeah, for some reason, the entire Central Division is fantastic on the penalty kill. Like, the Texas Stars are up there with an 88% on the penalty kill right now.
Dang.
So they're toward the bottom of the division. But then I went over to NHL.com and looked it up, and they'd be in the top 10 in the league with that penalty kill percentage. So
when compared the Hawks' penalty kill hasn't been awful this year, and they've had several shorthanded goals, so this bodes well for the future.
Exactly. And Slavin is a big guy on the kill, and he created a shorthanded rush last night while I was at the game. Of course, they didn't score on it, but he's just out there doing his thing. He's maybe a more talented Marcus Kruger, perhaps. So, a defensive guy, but he can chip in goals, and he does have that offensive side to him as well. So things are going pretty good in Rockford right now. It would be nice if we had, our starting goaltenders, so we could have some consistency there. So if the Blackhawks figure that out, that would be cool. Yeah. But they are third in the division, and they're just kind of trucking along here. So,
I mean, it sounds like, I'm praying that Kyle Davidson doesn't pull an SB and decide that we've drafted and invested all this time into these players, so let's trade them now. So it sounds like if things go the way that they should go, most hockey teams do, the future is gonna look pretty nice. Gary apparently loves talking about the Ice Hogs.
He does. He is all about it.
He is like, I need to be here for the piggy conversation.
There's nonstop meows and just
crawling into the window under my work monitors. He slinks under there. There's many easier ways for him to get there, and he's like, no, I want to go this way.
I want to do it this way.
It definitely sounds like the future is bright. I know. I at least follow the standings. AHL TV is way too expensive for me to purchase it.
It really is.
And so
that's when you get lucky to find someone who's like, here's my subscription. Thanks, I appreciate it.
It's too much. I follow the standings. I'll check, score updates, etc. But it's good to know that the future is looking good in Rockford. And
this Ice Hogs team under Sorensen. So after Derek King went up to the Blackhawks last year, it was a complete turnaround, and they started playing almost like the type of hockey that Richardson has the Blackhawks playing now. They play hard. They're always on the puck and getting the puck out of their defensive zone and keeping players to the outside to make it easy for their goaltenders. Imagine that.
What?
Yeah.
You saying that, it sounds like as an organization, these teams are developing an identity. It was very apparent, especially last season, that the identity for the Ice Hogs and the identity for the Blackhawks did not match. And they were playing two very different games. And it's kind of been that way for a couple of years.
It's been that way as long as I can remember.
Yeah. They have never had a consistent identity.
Because they never invested in the Ice Hogs. They were just this team where the prospects would go to play for a little bit when they didn't have room
until Stan Bowman traded them.
Yeah, and they'd either get traded or they'd get called up and then traded after some amount of time.
But
they never used it for development.
And it sounds like Kyle Davidson was maybe like, hey guys, Did you know that we have this whole like minor league team that we can send our guys to get them ready to play here?
Who would have thought?
And they were like, we what?
We have what?
And Mark Bernard was probably like, they finally get it.
Oh my God, they're actually calling me. My phone is ringing. Oh my Lord.
They want
what
updates on prospects and how they're playing. What?
I know. And
I mean, who would have thought?
It's like they finally realized the AHL is actually good hockey.
Yeah.
And not just like the slugfest it used to be with guys just constantly fighting and bench brawls all the time. Like there really aren't that many fights anymore. Like there's still probably more than you'll see in the NHL, but it's a lot of really talented players in the American League right now.
And honestly, it's the same with the Coast. Like, I mean, the Coast used to be like, if you wanted to go to a boxing match and also watch a little bit of hockey, like that's what the East Coast Hockey League was back before the name change. But now, I mean, every team has their guy.
Right.
Like it's normally a guy, maybe two guys. If they've got two guys, one is scratched and the other's playing, vice versa. But it's actually developmental hockey in the ECHL as well. And I mean, I think we're up to almost 800 ECHL players who have played in the NHL now, which that's significant, especially since some of them are old guys who just love the game and want to stay there.
Yeah.
And they just want to play hockey and keep living out their life. And that's fine.
I mean, both Kevin Lonkin and Andy Leah came up through the ECHL with Indy. Yeah. So
I watched Trent Miner play on Wednesday. And I mean, I believe he was drafted by the Avalanche. I can't remember for sure because I don't follow anybody's draft picks but our own. Now that I can without much concern. But I mean, I got to watch Trent Miner play hockey on Wednesday, and it's obvious that he's still very much a developmental goalie. Like he is probably borderline, maybe ready to go to the AHL for like a call up, like a conditioning stint. A goalie got injured. We need you, buddy. But I mean, to see him play, it's like, you know, he might not have a future with the Avalanche because obviously they've got Georgie locked up for a couple of years. They've got, you know, everything going on with them, but he could develop into an NHL talent.
Yeah. And even if those guys don't jump all the way up to the NHL, like there's something to be said about guys who can be very good American League players. And you see a lot of them jump from the ECHL up to the AHL. And you need those guys. You need the veteran players on your American League teams to help your prospects that you want to jump to the NHL. Yeah. Teach them kind of how to be a pro, tell them their experience in different situations, especially in the playoffs. So while you may look at a guy and be like, oh, he was just a career minor leaguer, those guys are very important. They are important to the development of your prospects. Like there's a guy in the Iceman who was born the same year that I was. He's the only one that was born the same year that I was, but he is that guy that you need in the locker room because he's a journeyman minor league player. And he has the experience and he's been here. He knows what to do. He was here last year when taxi squads happened again. Oh gosh. And
taxi squads.
He wasn't one of the guys who went because they basically just took all their AHL guys and were like, we're going to take these back. Thanks. Yeah. Because the NHL took some AHL guys and we're like, we're going to take these guys. Thanks. So he was a guy. There was a night where we played with 14 guys on the roster. It was the game after taxi squads were activated. We also had a bunch of guys on COVID protocol. We dressed like 4 defensemen and 10 forwards and in the 2 goalies. Like
it's like the 2015 Hawks.
It was rough.
What lines? what lines existed? Well, even like you're saying, like career minor leaguers, like you can have guys who've played in the NHL who can still come down and still, like, you know, like what Courtney said, help develop these guys along. Like former Blackhawk Artem Anisimov.
Yeah, he just got signed.
He's with the fan. He's with the Phantoms, and I got to watch him last night in a 6-1 game in the Phantoms' 2000th game as a franchise. Put up 4 points last night, 2 goals and 2 apples. So And Artem still has it. Artie still has it. So I mean,
even the Artie party still exists.
Yeah, and like he's been with Columbus. He played in Cleveland with the Monsters. Like though it's good to have veteran presence to help all the prospects.
Yeah.
Like doesn't matter if he's career minor leaguer or NHL going down. It's like
even for the Ice Hogs, we had Cody Franzen for a while, and for the defensive prospects, he was huge. He was basically a coach out there because that was when they had Derek King as their head coach.
So they didn't have a coach. They had the journeyman NHL guys who are now playing in the AHL.
Pretty much.
Or like the multi appearance of Brendan Perlini out of nowhere, just leaves, comes back, but it's like different team and comes back. It's like, well, how's this guy always end up in Rockford of all places? It's like,
but Franzen was huge for them, and our captain Garrett Mitchell, like he's pretty much a career AHLer. He played a few games in the NHL, I want to say, but
you want those guys on your minor league teams. You want guys. I mean, especially in the AHL, you want guys who have NHL experience.
Yes,
because especially guys like Artem Anisimov. He has a cup. Right. He has won a championship. He has been through the grind. He can talk to that 18, 19, 20-year-old kid and be like, look, I know right now you think X, Y, and Z, but here is the roadmap. Here's what you need to know to continue and grow and develop. You have not reached your full potential. You think that you have, but if you do this is what's going to come for you.
And like those older guys that play in the American League, they're simply playing because they love the game.
Yeah.
Even in the ECHL too.
Every guy in the ECHL who plays in the ECHL does not play to make $500 something a week.
Exactly.
They play because they love to play hockey.
Yeah,
it's
for sure.
It's almost like a reality check for like the highly touted prospects that come in like, oh, I'm just here before I get to the NHL. But then they're surrounded by guys who purely love playing hockey, and I think it really humbles them a bit, and it's good for them to be around that.
It's good for them to see the true love of the game, like
not just I love this because I'm really freaking good at it.
Like I love this game so much that I'm 36 years old. I have no desire. Well, I mean, obviously they still have a desire to go to the NHL. Who doesn't want to be like that 36-year-old ECHLer who gets called up to the NHL and gets to skate a game? Like everybody wants that, but that's not their only goal for playing. They are playing because they love this game and they want to leave their mark on this game, and they want to help these little babies. Who, for something like a 36-year-old, you could be that person's teen parent.
Exactly.
Like you are their dad. You are their dad.
Well, you are their hockey dad now.
Well, it's funny. It's funny because we're talking, talking about guys who've played career years in the league, wherever they're at. Like you look at the Checkers in terms of like their leadership group, their captain. Well, he's with Florida right now. It's Zach Dalpe. He's been around NHL and the AHL, like the alternate captains when they're down there. Chris Tierney, alternate captain, and their other alternate captain, Riley Nash. So I mean, they have, So I mean, they have NHL veteran presence on that team. Two of them are with the big club now, but you still have Nash down there. It's like those are guys.
Was huge for the Monsters for a long time.
He was, former Carolina Hurricane when the Checkers were still part of the Canes organization. But like you said, Riley Nash, he's been there and everywhere.
He was with Boston.
Toronto
for a year, I think.
Chris Tierney with the Senators for a little while too. So I mean, it's like they have. Then that's the one thing I love about the AHL is the fact that you can still get guys who were in the league but still go into the AHL and still produce and still like what you've been saying, helping these guys along. So I think people are finally looking at the AHL less as it's a league. It's there. It's okay, we can actually watch it get invested and actually,
it's important.
Yeah. Who would have thought?
Our minor league teams are important. Hold on, wait.
Well, the funny part, the funny part is that like the chaos. Like we love chaos here, but I think the AHL on certain because it's only on the weekends and maybe some random Tuesday, Wednesday games. I'm really excited for AHL weekends because it is pure chaos because you never know what's going to happen, and it's just the absolute best. I mean, plus, it's also Tabor Toss week too because a lot of teams have had their Tabor. Because I know
you toss the Bears. Oh
yes, Michael Tepley made them toss the Bears. What?
How many bears did they toss in the Rockford? Did they tell you guys?
4,000 something. I don't remember the other 3 digits, but it was 4,000 something.
I know the Checkers, when they did their teddy bear toss, that was 4,100.
Okay.
So, I forget where it was. I think it was someone was. I forget what team it was. Like someone did like 7,000 bears.
Okay, so the Icemen tossed 12,762 bears for teddy bear toss night.
Oh my gosh!
Oh my lord!
Is that the coast record?
I don't think it's the coast record. The hockey record is obviously the Hershey Bears because they do over 50,000 a year.
The Hershey Bears aren't a joke. Like I don't know how
the Hershey Bears aren't a joke when it comes to their teddy bear tossing.
They're the oldest team in the league. They're the oldest team in the league. They've been around forever. The total was 4,839.
Yeah.
So
we also, because we have people, I mean, this is the South. Sometimes they just think they can do things. I sit behind the netting because I sit behind the goal that we shoot on twice. And there are always people who try to throw the bears over the netting. And then we all know that teddy bears generally hang on the little things in the store and they don't take the hanger things off. So there were bears just hanging from the netting. And the boys tried to like knock the netting to get them to pop out. I don't think they realized that like the plastic hook was like hooked into the netting, but they were like beating, trying to get them down. And it was just like, I mean, but every year we throw more bears. Like 12,762 was an Iceman record.
That is amazing.
And so, I mean, we make it rain teddy bears.
Yeah.
And also somebody was like, is it only bears? No, it's stuffed animals. Like you don't have to only throw bears. Okay.
Yeah. I just like how the fact with the teddy bear tosses, it's so great because you get charities, hospitals and stuff like that. Like it's actually good for like the holiday season for those kids or just charities in general. I know some teams do it with different. Yeah.
Are not just for Christmas. So my seat partner is actually a Shriners kid. And so most of the teddy bear toss bears, like some of them go to like Christmas pick out stuff for families. Most of them go to like Shriners and children's hospitals and things like that. So that little kids who are about to have surgery or a procedure or get an MRI or whatever, they get to go pick out a teddy bear.
That's nice.
Yeah, that's really cool.
And so like most teddy bear toss bears don't go to like Christmas toy drives or whatever. That's like Toys for Tots. That's what they do. They do the Christmas.
No, right? Yeah, but like the time of year is just great to see for the Christmas.
Yeah, I know
Christmas season.
Do get delivered to children's hospitals and stuff.
Yeah. That's what the Checkers did. They did charities in hospitals.
Yeah,
for theirs. I know some other teams have different things depending on what team it is, but generally from what I've seen, it's a lot of just hospitals and.
Yeah, most of them go to like children's hospital charities and stuff like that because honestly, those are the little babies that need something soft to squeeze on. Because
and honestly too, like those for me, those are must go to games just for the fact that it's always a good time. Like you get to see hockey and you get to throw bears on the stuffed animals on the ice.
You get to throw stuff on the ice and your team doesn't get a 2-minute delay of game penalty.
I know.
And you don't get ejected from the arena. So
yeah. So it's always a good time though.
I'm always envious of the people who sit closer to the glass though. Since I sit up in the 200s, it's like, oh, okay, we have to plan. We have to know when the goal is going to be scored so we can get up and go down, get closer to the glass so we can throw it over. It's kind of stressful.
I sit behind the netting. I have to traverse across 3 sections to get to a place where I can throw bears over the glass. And this year was the first year where normally there's like a row somewhere where there's nobody in the row and you can just cut through and you can like find that row in each session. That did not happen this year. So I had to go all the way up the stairs from row E.
Oh no.
All the way up the stairs, across the concourse, then all the way down the stairs.
Oh my gosh.
And I mean,
thankfully it's pretty easy for us.
Yeah, well, and we threw 12,000 bears, so there was time. Like,
just a little bit.
It's not like it was like, oh no, it's done in 10 seconds. No, it just keeps going. And then when it's like about to slow down, like more people come from the end zones to throw bears. So like it starts to slow down, and then they're like, oh no, it's raining bears again.
Yeah, the weather in Rockford was real crappy yesterday though, and sometimes people just decide not to go out to the game. So I feel like maybe we would have had more had it been better, but it was still a pretty good showing of teddy bears.
Yeah. So,
I feel like what they need to do each year is like say how many were thrown the year before and then challenge the fans to beat it.
That would be awesome. Like if they like beat it, everyone gets like your ticket,
get
gets you like
something.
like food
you get like
from
a free
somewhere.
Frosty from Wendy's or something. Like
or
something
like an appetizer from a local restaurant in the area of whatever the stadium's at. So I guess in Rockford, whatever it's around there. Hey, here's a free appetizer because you got your ticket from because you guys beat it last night.
Here's your ticket. You can go get a box of screws at the hardware store because this is Screw City.
Oh,
did you see the Screw City jerseys that they wore on Friday? Oh, they were so nice.
They were nice.
So nice.
I liked the barber pole sleeve because it's like it's very Ottawa 67-esque. It's not
it
the
is
whole
very
jersey,
67-esque.
But those are nice though. Those are probably the best. I
pre-ordered one because they're like reordering the fan version of it. So I pre-ordered one. So I'll get it.
Player or blank? We always have to ask: is it player or is it a blank for the jersey?
It's just blank because it's not an actual jersey.
It's not an authentic.
It's like
it's a replica.
Yeah.
No, I'm just saying. But
not even like it's just all printed. So like, there's no actual logo on it. It's
sublimated.
Just all printed. That's why I say it's
like my Ninja Turtles jersey here, even though that's a game worn. Like that's 100% sublimated.
Yeah. Okay, so you weren't able to customize. It's just here's the jersey.
Right.
Yeah.
It's basically like a shirt with like somewhat jersey material.
I'm gonna stretch it out because I think it's time for us to gloat.
Oh, we should start patting ourselves on the back now.
We should just see. The three of us here on this podcast have said since the off season that we don't think Patrick Kane wants to leave based on his words, based on his actions, based on the things that he's doing, even just his general mannerisms. Patrick Kane wants to stay in
general
Chicago.
Demeanor. He's just a Blackhawk.
He's just he is Chicago now. Like he may have been born in Buffalo, but he's Chicagoan now. Like, he's a Chi-Town boy. So, last week, Emily Kaplan released an article.
She's
the queen of hockey media.
She's amazing.
Was like, here's some updates on things around the league. And you want to know what one of those updates was? Patrick Kane does not want to leave Chicago. And even wants to re-sign in Chicago. Like,
I'm shocked.
Do you want to read what she wrote?
Yes, read it. Courtney actually sent me the link to make sure she had the right article today, so she can read the words.
Do you have it pulled up? I can pull it up here real quick.
I don't have it pulled up. No.
All right, I'm gonna get it.
Come on, Courtney. There's a whole bunch of stuff in the start about the Stars, and we don't really care about that. You just gotta scroll.
Yeah, I'm just getting down to the. All right, I think no, there it is. All right, so. The teams expected to unload multiple players with expiring contracts at the deadline include the Anaheim Ducks, San Jose Sharks, Montreal Canadiens, and Chicago Blackhawks. Shocking! All of those teams, plus the Coyotes, could also act as third-party brokers as retaining salary is expected to be a big trend once again this season. Will Patrick Kane or Jonathan Toews be traded at the deadline? Blackhawks CEO Danny Wirtz has made it clear to both players that their numbers will be retired one day and has promised them that the organization would treat them with respect through the process. So the ball is in their court. GM Kyle Davidson is waiting for Kane and Toews, who both hold no movement clauses, to come to him with whatever direction they'd like to go. He is not going to push them either way. On Kane specifically, I've been told he's not looking to move, but as the wheels are expected to come off even more for Chicago on the ice over the next month, he's keeping his options open.
Yeah. You mean Patrick Kane doesn't want to leave?
Shocking.
I don't know. I mean, if you've seen how he's acted on the ice too with the young guys we've had for the last few years, like he looks like he's having fun, like he's smiling, having a good time.
And I mean, he always said he would be willing to stay and be a part of the rebuild and
exactly. Like
work with the kids and all that.
As soon as the wheels started to get real shaky on the wagon, he was like, I want to be a part of this. Like he's never had an issue with the rebuild. And he specifically said, like, I want to help rebuild this team and bring them back to where we used to be.
Yeah, like
granted, all of those words were before they traded DeBrincat, which maybe made him go, "What's happening?" But
yes, but then
honestly,
they brought in fun people for him to still play with. Like
truth.
I
And
was
a
on
new
the fence
coach.
about I was on the fence about Anthony Ciu. I won't lie. Like I was like, I'm not sure. Look, okay, I'm allowed to have my moments. They were like, we have him, and I was like,
no.
Okay. And then I watched the season opener, and I was like, oh.
He's so fast.
Okay.
And now he's like starting to mix the
fast.
speed with like actually putting the puck in the net, because he's been creating a lot and it just hasn't been going in for him, which is something that's kind of plagued him his whole career. But now they're starting to like actually go in the net. So
Chicago's
now
running on AA batteries these days. Like
they no longer run on Duncan.
No. And you know,
I'm okay with
Chris
that.
Voster's call, happy to see you, Anthony Ciu, like
that was just perfect timing.
That was like you knew he was waiting to use that. Like it was it's just
and then he did, and it was like, oh, happy to see you. Like that is just happy to see you now is synonymous with Anthony Ciu.
Honestly, put down a t-shirt that would easily sell. 100%.
Like, and Max Domi has been playing really well for the Blackhawks too. Like he also started kind of slow, but he was good at the dot even when he wasn't producing. But oh my god, now we can't stop scoring.
Yeah, like those three, those three together. That is a fantastic line. Like they are so good.
You initially look at that line though, and it's like,
what? But now you're like
Max Domi. Anthony Ciu.
They really needed to work at it though. Like it wasn't just something that clicked right off the hop for them.
Right,
like,
of course.
It was very DeBrincat, Strome, Kane. Like
right.
Oh gosh.
Obviously DeBrincat and Strome clicked. They played juniors together. Like they know each other on the ice. Then you just put Patrick Kane in there and it's like, okay, perfect. Like we're good to go.
I mean it
didn't click
Patrick
immediately.
Kane. Yeah,
but
it's Patty Kane. It's just
he usually just makes it work. But I also like how Domi's given them another option on the power play, and he's actually been good at it. They're actually like moving the puck around a little more on the power play,
which is crazy.
What? We moved the puck around on the power play? What? No, not the Blackhawks. No. We just
like
rushed
it's not
one
just
guy
2
in.
minutes of zone entry.
Oh, you mean
trying to enter the zone, or if they are in the zone, just Kaner holding it on the right wall and doing nothing with it. Yeah, no, they're actually like moving the puck around a little bit.
Just don't give it to Seth Jones, or he'll like throw it back out in the center ice, and you're just like, what?
And then you get a hot mic on the ice, and everybody's like, "Oh, Patrick Kane loved that one."
Yeah, you see Patrick Kane just like, what the fuck?
So, but I have very much been of the opinion Patrick Kane wants to retire a Blackhawk.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like he's here for so long, like it just makes sense.
If he approaches the team at the deadline and says, "I want to go here," obviously, if the prospects and the draft picks and everything is right, he's going to go. I would still see him in the offseason being like, "Hey, Blackhawks, hometown discount. I want to be here. I want to help this team get back to where it needs to be. Pay me a couple $1 million."
Yeah. I could see if you're talking about it, like I could see Kaner between 4.5 and 5. I think splitting his contract in half, even then, would still be a huge benefit for the Hawks. I think anything less than 4.5, I mean, that'd be no. I'm just
that's in my couple $1 million range. Like obviously, we're not going to re-sign him at $10 million again. Like
no,
that's not going to happen. But
no, I'm just agreeing with you. Yeah, if you give him like in that range of 4.5 to 5, that'd be a perfect
maybe you even go back to his first contract, like 6 something.
Yeah,
but even that's better than 10 because like the cap doesn't matter right now.
Yeah.
So
I mean it's only going to go up.
I will say it's really weird being uncap friendly and not like the Hawks being like.
I know, right
at the top with their like $4 remaining on their salary cap and having to like scroll to find them. It's weird, but also like I even if he approaches the team and asks for a trade, it's gonna be because he knows that it benefits the Blackhawks to do it. Like the character arc of Patrick Kane, as we discuss all the time, is probably one of the greatest, if not the greatest character arc in NHL player history. And he would do what it takes for the Blackhawks to get what they need. And then come back and be like, thanks for giving me that 3 months extra hockey. Like,
I went on vacation.
I went on vacation, came back with this shiny thing.
Right.
Because if he's going anywhere, he's going to a contender and he's going to try to win another cup. Like, let's be honest.
You know what I would say if it was that or the other option where it's just for like wholesome content, he goes back to Buffalo and plays in front of his entire family for the rest of the season just because. I
don't know that he even cares though.
No,
I don't think he would. But
the man has enough money to fly his family to watch him play hockey wherever.
That's true. I understand though.
So
it would be just kind of interesting how that would play out though. He goes back to Buffalo and plays for the Sabres, the hometown team. So
if he's going anywhere, it's to a contender.
Oh, yeah, obviously. I'm just saying as a wholesome
after everything that happened in 2015, I don't know that he even ties himself to Buffalo anymore though. You know?
That's also very true. It's weird to see him other than this. I just don't see it really happening. So I think he's gonna stay.
It would be weird. And honestly, whatever team he goes to, like that's the team I'm gonna cheer for in the playoffs.
Right.
Obviously, of course.
But like the most interesting recent rumor for me has been Patrick Kane to Boston. And I'm like, with what money? With what money?
I don't think Kane would even want to go to Boston.
That was my first thing. I was like, number one, he has a full no movement clause and complete say over where he goes.
Okay,
and
it's not Boston. It's like
I would like both of your goaltenders. Thank you, Boston. I just want goalie hugs and Blackhawks uniforms. So
I'd be here for them.
Give me Swayman and Ullmark for Patrick Kane and a draft pick.
What team would even work? Like, you couldn't even really send him to LA because it's like
but the
Kaner Colorado with all these injuries that they have.
Just give us a Trushkin and like Rantanen. Like, geez, just give us like a whole.
No, because then they wouldn't win the cup.
Yeah, they need the Moose.
Yeah.
But like Kaner to Boston, number one, he would be like, no. But also they don't have the space to even take half of his contract without trading a significant part of their roster that would defeat the purpose of acquiring Patrick Kane.
I mean, how many teams out there right now have the potential to get a Patrick Kane though? That's the thing.
Here, I said it the other day, I'll say it again. There are 31 other teams in the NHL that want a Patrick Kane.
Well, right. They want him. Is it feasible to get him is the thing, though.
No. For most of the contending teams, it's not feasible to get a Patrick Kane.
Yeah, because, I mean...
Even if we retain 50% of his salary, it's not feasible for that man to be on their team.
Until you have an LTIR situation.
Yeah, right, exactly. Because right now, the only team that is within range of that is it's unfortunately the Ducks at 13.9 million. Like, there's no one else within the range of 5 million that could take. Well, I mean, Detroit is at 4.3. So, I mean, it's.
Oh, that will not happen. Patrick
I know it's not going to happen.
Detroit is a 100% no.
Oh, no. I'm just saying that's the only other team that's within range of possibly taking a $5 million contract. But other than that,
Tampa will figure it out.
Well, the thing is that the Sabres are at 16.9 million in projected cap space still, which is absolutely wild. But
I don't think Buffalo is a place he would want to be.
Well, but there's no team right now that could take his contract on. That's the problem.
Has Tage Thompson's contract even kicked in yet, or is that start next year? The big one.
I think that's next year.
I think so.
Yeah, so it could be feasible to get Patrick Kane for the rest of it, but like I said, it's not going to happen because like I'm saying, there's really no team that's even within range that could take his contract because after us in Detroit, and I forget what the other team was, it's like $3 million or less. Like, there's no one within range to take
cap shenanigans always happen, so I don't factor that into my consideration even because you could say the top team on cap friendly with zero cap, they would figure it out somehow.
Yeah,
they would make something. Patrick Kane to the Maple Leafs. Somehow that just works out just for the
Vegas
insanity.
Golden Knights are on the top of cap friendly.
Oh no.
They have $1.8 million in cap space, but they've got 4 guys on LTIR. The Washington Capitals have 10 players on injured reserve right now.
Oh my word.
10.
Oh my god.
Like they have 10 injuries. 10.
Jeez.
They Darcy Kemper, Tom Wilson, Dmitry Orlov, Alexander Alexiev, Martin Faveri, Beck Mallinston, Nicholas Backstrom, Connor Brown, Carl Hagelin, all on injured reserve.
Wow.
And then Cody Clark is on the season opening injured reserve. They have 10 guys.
Wow, so Tom Wilson
IR.
still hasn't played all year, huh?
No.
Oh no, no Tom Wilson on the ice? Gosh darn. Yeah. That's terrible.
They are using
what was his injury?
I don't even remember. Stubbed his toe.
But so basically, we're all coming to the conclusion that Patrick Kane's not going to get moved, regardless of the fact that what team can take his You would have
no.
to
See, look at Tampa in the COVID season. You can make shit happen. The cap doesn't matter in the playoffs, so you just need to clear space for a month.
Well,
and that can happen. And so the cap isn't the issue. It's the fact that the man gets to decide where he wants to go. Boston is not that place. Buffalo is not that place.
No.
Tom Wilson had knee surgery, by the way.
Okay.
Well,
I think I remember seeing something about that on his dog's Instagram page because I follow his dogs, not him.
I was too curious. I had to look it up.
I get it. So, but we should all just like reach over and for not needing to be NHL insiders to know.
The 2 seconds after this podcast goes live, Kane to Boston.
Oh,
I'm gonna need you to take that chaos out of the universe right now, ma'am.
Actually, you would be here's a sleeper team that would be kind of interesting to see how this would work out if this team somehow made the whole situation work. Canner to the Devils.
I would be okay with that.
That would be
Kaner with Jack Hughes and
Nico Hischier and Saragovich and that entire crew. Ooh.
And then Courtney, you wouldn't be as conflicted because they're your team that you just watch to watch.
This is true. I do love me some Devils. They're very fun.
You know what? It'll be funny though. Like the next time we bring her on next season, if that somehow even did happen, we see a Patrick Kane Devils jersey somewhere in the back.
Oh, there would 100% be a Patrick Kane Devils jersey if it happened.
It would have to happen. And there's her. And if it's the Maple Leafs get knocked out, there's her Eastern Conference team for the playoffs.
But currently, their right wingers are Jesper Bratt and Dawson Mercer on the top 2 lines.
Oh, that's a solid one too.
Who are the right wings on the 3rd and 4th lines?
Fabian Zetterlund and Alexander Holtz.
Okay,
they could easily.
You can definitely bump.
You could move down Mercer to replace Zetterlund, and then stick him there, and either move Jesper Bratt down or Kaner's just on the 2nd line, like he was for the majority of his Chicago career. Then,
which is insane to think about. Which is insane that one of the best players in the league was a 2nd line right winger.
Well, you have Evgeny Malkin as a 2nd line center his whole career. If he were to play on the 2nd line, he would be centered by the one and only Jack Hughes.
Who's the left winger?
Eric Holla.
Oh, fuck Eric Holla.
That line would be insane.
That line would be so disgusting.
Mr. 6 minutes and 2 seconds, Jack Hughes.
You could probably even shift
That's wild.
Dawson Mercer over to the left side.
Yeah.
Move Eric Holla down and put Kaner on the right.
Mercer with Hughes and Kane. Oof, that is a that top 6 for the Devils, if that somehow worked out. Oh my goodness.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the thing though. What do the Hawks get back in that trade?
You could get Ty Smith. Well, no, because they gave Ty Smith to Pittsburgh. JK.
Who would you? Yeah. we're not saying this is going to happen. It's just like what's the hypothetical Kaner to the Devils, because the Devils are contenders out the wazoo. Like
they could give us Fabian Zetterlund. Then they don't have to move him.
Yeah.
You would have to think it's probably gonna be a player or two. Then you're probably looking at
prospects and picks.
We're talking.
Oh gosh, they still have Andre Palat on injured reserve. That's right. So the top 6 would be even better.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, Palat. Oh, that would.
Well, here what? Honestly, the Hawks could.
They have Tice Thompson. They have Tage's brother in the minors.
What do you think about it? The Hawks could get a forward. They could get a defenseman to shore up the blue line. They don't want more blue line help.
Yeah.
They also have the goaltenders, Nico Dawes and Akira Schmidt. Like they have things.
Also have their first two round draft picks for next year too. So
yeah, like they have things that they could move. So it's not like their cupboard is empty.
So basically, if we are picking a team that somehow comes out of nowhere to go get Kaner, it's the Devils.
I wouldn't be sad by it.
And also,
he'd be very adapted to the colors that he would have to wear too.
This is true. And they kind of play his style of hockey. Plus, he has the experience for a very young Devils team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That it could be good for them. But then you have the whole thing, like teams who add big at the deadline, it shakes up their whole roster. And most of the time, they don't end up going all of the way because you have that chemistry that you just shake up for the sake of getting a big acquisition.
Unless you're doing like a chemo pick to get that man a Stanley Cup before he retires.
But that's not a big acquisition. Yeah. You know, the guys who like go all in, like we're gonna get the biggest guy at the deadline.
Yeah, we're gonna buy.
Yeah, I mean, look at Colorado. Actually, they got like what?
They got Lehkonen.
Yeah,
which
and also
wasn't a big ad, but it was a big ad.
Yeah, they also got Cogliano too. So I mean, they got a lot of depth guys that
they got Manson as well.
Yeah, they added depth
guys who all ended up being huge for them. And
they didn't acquire a star. They acquired several depth guys who ended up
kind of tilting. So how many how many big acquisition guys have gone on and done something? I mean, because you look at the Hawks and
Claude Giroux.
Yeah, and the Panthers got swept in the second round.
Well, but look what the Hawks did. Like we didn't really go out and get like big name guys. Like we got
Vermette and
the only big one was like Vermette.
Yeah, but even then, that wasn't a big move with the core 7 because you had Taves and Kane and Hammer and Dunks and Hossa.
Another big move was the Wild getting Fleury from us. That didn't work out.
Well,
I mean, last year. But
we look at the 2010 Cup run. Like, who did we really even get in the 2010 Cup that really shook up the team?
Nobody. There weren't very many deadline moves for the 2010 team. Like, they were a young team that nobody was like, "Oh my God, this team is a contender."
Yeah, well, like the 13 Cup as well. I mean, that was a half lockout season, and even then, it wasn't like the team didn't really. So it's like it's not really getting the big name to push the needle.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, the big names generally don't push the needle,
right? Because
they usually
they go into the top 6, and then it messes up what was already there. You know?
Yeah. So we could be saying the Devils could do it, but then the Devils are like, "Well, we would love to have them, but we're playing too well right now."
If they make the move now,
no,
but I'm saying if a team were to make a move for a big name now, it's early enough in the season, the chemistry can be built, you can get the same kind of the same return for the player, and they can build that chemistry, and you're not trying to scramble at the deadline a month before the playoffs to push for a cup run. Right. You've been able. I mean, that's why you see a lot of the big names move around this time of year,
right?
Because you're halfway through the season, and your chemistry is there, but it's not like this is what works.
Yeah.
So I mean, pulling up a depth guy during the deadline is perfect. Patrick Kane is not a depth guy. Honestly, if he's not traded by mid-January, I don't know if it's a move.
I don't think it's gonna happen.
Looking at the trade deadline last year, I think the biggest acquisition that actually helped their team was the Leafs getting Giordano. Like, it didn't help him in the playoffs, obviously, but he really shored up that defense, and he came back this year. Otherwise,
I mean,
not really. I mean, Fleury re-signing with Minnesota is good for them, but
I mean, like right now, if you look at all the teams, it's like if there's a team that would even want to try to push the needle for Kaner, like there's not a lot of teams that can make that work, that have all the necessary components and pieces to do it. I mean, Vegas, not really. Winnipeg, I don't see it. Dallas, I don't see the Hawks going in division because that would just be. I mean,
the thing is, like, if you're Kaner, you want to go to a contender. But then it ends up being like the Claude Giroux situation where he went to the best team in the league last year, the Florida Panthers.
Yeah.
And then they got swept out of the second round in what was supposed to be some super exciting Battle of Florida.
It was so boring.
It was bad.
It was boring hockey.
Yeah.
Like so boring.
So we're saying Boston wouldn't work. The Devils could possibly work because they actually have a cupboard that we can go get something out of. Toronto,
I don't think he fits. No, like, as fun as that would be for Kaner to go to Toronto, like,
I mean,
to go from an original 6 to an original 6 team, like,
they don't need another winger who doesn't play defense, and that's not even a knock on Kaner. It's just the truth. He doesn't play defense.
He's not a two-way forward, and he never has been.
Right? It would be like they would have 2 William Nylanders.
Basically,
which having 1 William Nylander is amazing. Having 2. Then you have defensive liability.
Yeah, because you look at it, it's like not Vegas, not Winnipeg. Like the 7th best team in the league right now is Carolina. They don't really have the cap space, and I don't think they even really have a.
He doesn't really fit into their system.
Well, they don't have a cover to go get either because I mean they have good players, but it's not like now if it was like the Chicago Wolves of last year, you could possibly make a case for prospects, but Pittsburgh no, Tampa no, the Islanders. Not really. The Kings, the Kraken.
I feel like Lou would be like, no, I'm not. Nah.
It's like
if you keep 99% of his salary, I'll take him.
I mean,
right. It's like the only teams that would make sense are teams trying to get the push over the edge to be competitive in the playoffs. But then he's not gonna want to go to one of those teams.
Yeah, I mean, because like. You got the Kings at 11, Kraken at 12, the Rangers at 13, Detroit at 14. Edmonton, that's a hard no. Colorado's at 16, Minnesota 17. So I mean, even then, like you're going towards the middle of the league. And I don't know, it's tough. Like then you have like Calgary's down there somewhere, and it's just, I don't know.
I feel like the Rangers for him would be a maybe just because he could reunite with Breadman and see if they can finally make some playoff magic happen since they couldn't do that in Chicago. But
they're struggling this year. So.
So that's what I'm saying. Like of all the teams that A could make it work with the cap, B could make it work with like an actual trade of prospects, current guys, and picks. The only one that makes sense is the Devils. I don't see any other team that's going to be anywhere close to making it possibly work if the Hawks, which I'm saying, I hope they don't trade them, but let's just say for the height, let's just say for the sake of, to have a discussion, it only makes sense for the Devils. That's the only team, unless one of you two see another team that I'm missing out on. For me,
I'm not really. I mean, I've been kind of like watching sporadic games throughout the league just to kind of get a feel for like where could he work, where would this fit. And there's really the teams that he would fit into the system for and could potentially help either have an excessively large amount of no room for him when it comes to money, or it's a place where, given that he has full control, he most likely be like, no.
Yeah. Or they don't have anything worth going to get after for Patrick Kane.
They've got no pool. They've already traded away a first or a second round draft pick in 2023.
Prospects.
For Tampa, just because we said they always make it happen, and they're currently third in the Atlantic, so it would make sense. Like, oh, we're gonna get Kaner, he's gonna help. But like, we already have their first round pick, like the next two
for the next 2 years.
We already have them. They don't have a second this coming draft.
Nope.
So,
and they don't have a prospect pool, really. I mean,
no, because they basically trade almost the entire farm off to get guys to make their cup runs. Like,
I mean, we could get Brent Seabrook back.
No, go get Brendan Hagel back. Go get Bagel.
No, we are not going to be the Stan Bowmans.
We're not doing.
No. It's I just
because look, if you're gonna bring Bagel back, you're gonna want him to play with the team with Patrick Kane on it.
I'm just saying that I just miss Bagel. That's all. But I mean, everything Bagel.
What was that face, Courtney?
I was just looking at their prospects that they have, and there's nothing exciting, but Syracuse is third in their division. Something's working.
It's the North. Are they at the North division?
Yeah, they're in the North division.
The division alignments need to get changed in the league. It's okay in the AHL. There could be some remaps, but
the Pacific honestly has like 20 million teams.
Isn't the Pacific the reason why the AHL format is so screwed up?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, even though they had the Coachella Firebirds, it still doesn't make no. But no, honestly, like I said, like of all the teams that make sense, it's Jersey. I don't know.
Yeah, so. I don't know. I don't see them do it because they have so many.
Well, yeah, no, I don't see them doing either. But it's like,
but it's.
So I just don't know what would be realistic. Like, even if we're saying Kaner is going to get traded, what would make sense?
There's really
nothing.
There's no trade because all the rosters are basically almost tapped out in terms of either cap or drafts and draft picks and prospects.
Like the one that makes the most sense is like Taves to Colorado because of all of their injuries. And if you retain money and maybe go through a third team to retain more. Plus, they have some space until max contract kicks in, but
like they have space till max contract kicks in, but
Taves is up this summer, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah. And Landeskog is hurt. I mean, they've got several key guys on IR right now.
So that's why that would make sense, but
and then they'd have two Taves.
Yes, they would.
They're not. Are they related or no?
No.
I thought
allegedly in Winnipeg, Taves is like Smith.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
At least that's what I've heard.
So just aside from not wanting Kaner to go anywhere, I don't know where it would make sense.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we're all three of us are like, no, he's not leaving. He's going to be a Blackhawk, blah 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 blah. But at the same time, just for the like, let's see what would actually make sense if it did happen.
There's nowhere where it makes sense that they wouldn't either have to trade a person who is a significant part of their current roster, thus negating getting a Patrick Kane, or B, they don't have the picks or the prospects to even compete to get a Patrick Kane.
Right. But we all know that GMs of the NHL are crazy. They will see, a Patrick Kane is available. We're going to do this. And then it's going to somehow make their team worse just because chemistry and whatnot.
Yeah.
Not because Kaner's bad, because he's not. But
they're basically, they're going to blow up the farm and give up so much. And it's like, that didn't, like I said.
Well, and it again, a Patrick Kane, that's a trade you make now. You make it at this point in the season. He's not a deadline trade. He is a December, January trade because you need time. Look at how his season started with Domi and Athanasiou.
Exactly.
They needed time to develop their chemistry because they haven't played together for years.
And then you're going to a completely different place where he's been in Chicago his entire career. I can only imagine it would take longer. So, it didn't happen, but ideally it's an off-season thing, but they didn't want to do that. And that's totally fine and understandable.
He didn't want to do it.
Right, exactly. He didn't want to move. Him and Taves both said, we want to see how the start of the season goes, blah, blah, blah.
They wanted to play for Luke Richardson because, let's be honest, I haven't played hockey in a really long time, but I would strap on pads and be like, Luke Richardson, I'm coming to play for you.
I want to play for Luke Richardson.
Like, the man took a puck to the head and was like, cool, I'm going to keep coaching. Like intermission's fine. You can stitch my head up then. Wait, you're making me go down. Damn it. Like
I still think Taze is going to get moved. It's just when, but I still think that's probably going to happen because
every team needs a guy at the dot who's going to win faceoffs, especially for a playoff run.
That. And he's been having a great season. So that makes more sense than adding a winger.
Yeah.
So
like everybody needs a dot guy.
Yeah, Keener's going to stay. We're not worried about it. That's just we just wanted to have some fun. Have some
here's the thing. I've said this since the offseason when it happens because I feel like they're going to again, NHL GMs are friggin' magicians. Like the Kyles are going to get together with this guy and that guy.
Are they going to start feuding again at the deadline?
Yeah, and it's going to be like a 17-team trade.
Yeah.
And like
some of the Coyotes,
14 of the teams are like retaining like $500,000 of Kaner salary to make it work. But like never count NHL GMs out on doing some sort of crazy magic that involves a whole lot of moving parts that we look at it and we're like, it's the meme with the guy doing the math, like in all the equations. Like that's what it's going to look like if it happens. I will cry. I will be sad, but I have full faith that he will be back.
Because isn't it like wasn't Montreal the team that had like some like clown ass like 20 paragraph?
Oh my god, it was so long. Was it the Monahan trade?
I think it was the Monahan trade because it's like it was this, then this, and then this, and then this, and this. I'm like I'm not reading a book to figure out what this trade's going to happen.
I don't need to read a novel. Like
I don't think any expert. I don't think even the experts knew how this worked out. They're like, wait, so we're
like Montreal has Sean Monahan.
Yeah. In the end, Montreal got Sean Monahan, and then a whole bunch of other shit happened, and Montreal has Sean Monahan.
Is a whole big of not our problem, and we will figure it out when it all happens.
Yeah.
As long as it clears the office and he's not on somebody's like no movement clause or no trade list or
Evgeny Dadonov.
Who is also with Montreal, surprisingly enough.
Yeah.
When that trade happened, I was like, did everyone check his no trade clause to make sure
that it's okay,
that this team is okay? Did we triple check it? Did you get 4 different people to look at it to make sure?
Did you ask him?
Montreal?
Did you ask him?
Did you call him and hey Dado, like just want to make sure you're good with Montreal, right? Like hold on, let me record this. You're good with Montreal?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Like at that point, like that's what you got to do.
Vegas.
So, but we're at almost 2.5 hours, guys. So,
I mean that's pretty on brand when it's the three of us.
It is
at least the three of us. That's an on brand episode.
It tracks. I am hungry.
Me too.
It is well past dinner time. So, before we break and eat the food and upload the episode so that people can listen to it tonight and also tomorrow, because you're real dedicated if you start listening until like midnight. Like mad props, we love you. Let us know on Twitter. Courtney, where can the humans find you on the internet?
Well, as if you were watching this, you could see at VF Center Ice Pod is the From Center Ice Twitter account. You can also go to fromcenterice.com. There's links to all of the places there. So that's probably the easiest, really. My personal Twitter is at Courtney Dagger. Super simple. That's where you can find us.
Awesome. Zachary, where can the humans find you on the internet?
I mean, if you do want to find me, I mean, that's on you, not my. That's is what it is. It's at One True Zach. That's only True Zach. It's just spell it out. It's not like the number 1. It's not like it's like the O Neaters. So you can just find me there. Instagram, Zach R Martin 22. If you want to get more of a personal, like what I am, I guess into like hockey, D&D, and a whole bunch of other different stuff. Just because. But yeah, Beth, where can people find you?
Well, first, I'm going to tell people where they can find our podcast on the internet, because I definitely forgot that earlier today because I was so excited because Courtney was here. So you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Talkwell Hockey Pod. We are on YouTube. You can find us at Let's Talk Well Hockey. Our at is actually Let's Talk Well Hockey. And if you have any questions, comments, concerns, you can shoot us an email at letstalkwohockey@gmail.com. And as for me, if you're watching, my Twitter handle is right here on the screen. It is at WonderBeffers. Unlike Zach, it is like the word wonderful, not the number 1.
I mean, like I wonder what happened to the Oneaters.
Exactly. Our dad joke will live on forever and ever and ever.
Because you make me do it every time.
I mean,
every time.
It is what it is. Give me small joy in life, okay? So this has been the 33rd episode of Let's Talk About Hockey. Courtney,
Scott Darling.
I was about to ask you to pick him, and you already did. Because
it's the goalie. It's always the goalie. It
has to be Scott Darling. I mean, he's Chicago.
I don't even know who else wears 33, but Scott Darling.
Scott Darling.
Because we had what, Ramery for 30.
Yes.
And then we had
was 31.
No, actually, no. We picked we had a bunch of goalies for 31, wasn't it?
Yeah,
we basically 32 in Chicago.
We basically picked all the goalies who wore 31 for the 31st episode because we couldn't pick one.
Because it was like Niemi, Eddie the Eagle did wear 31 for us season, so that still technically counted. So
if you don't have me back for episode 50, I'm fighting both of you.
Obviously 50's already in lock. Like,
look, how about driving down to the south and physically fighting both?
How about this?
We're bringing you back for episode 50. How about that?
We've got 19 more episodes till we get to 49. What if we Jonathan Taves it out for season 2, and then season 3, episode 1 is episode 50, the Corey Crawford episode with the Demigoddess of Chaos.
Fantastic.
We would have to do the entire episode just talking about Corey Crawford, nothing else. Just talking about him.
Duh.
Obviously.
He should want to contact
between the two of us, like, you could just put yourself on mute and her and I can just talk Corey Crawford all day. Like,
oh, cool.
Yeah. We do sometimes. There are days where we just talk about Corey Crawford, who is now living his best suburban dad life, and we love that so much for him, but we also miss him dearly. And
his number better be retired at some point soon. Because...
And also, at the end, we always throw in, like, Blackhawks fans, this is what you get for not realizing you had an elite goaltender and just shitting on him for the entire time he played in the city.
And
now they're all like, oh my God, Corey Crawford is the best. You didn't say that a few years ago, sir.
Yeah,
that's true.
I remember.
We have the
Farm remembers.
We have the receipts.
we have the receipts right here. You didn't love him before. You don't get to love him now.
I don't know how. That's the one thing that will never make sense to me. How Corey Crawford still got absolute shat on for no reason, even though the fact he should have won a Conn Smythe.
2012.
That's not on him, no. But
it's not. But people never forgot. Even though Mike Smith was also terrible in that series, but
never forgave him for going to a concert and getting injured.
Oh no. Oh, even though
he's a human being and is allowed to go live his own life.
How dare
and
he?
Like go do things, and accidents happen.
At least he's not like Ryan O'Reilly drunk driving into a Tim Hortons. Like, what the fuck?
I forgot about that. Yeah, that was the thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Or you could be like, or you be like Austin Matthews and just making an absolute...
show people your booty.
Well, I was gonna say,
or Claude Giroux drunkenly grabbing the butt of a police officer.
Yeah. I was going to say for Austin Matthews, making an ass out of himself. But yeah, that works too, I guess.
Show about your booty.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, NHL.
But no one talks about that. Nobody.
Keep the energy.
Keep the energy. So, this has been the 33rd episode, the Scott Darling episode. Because
it has to be Scott Darling.
I'm never going to be able to close this episode because every time I say 33, Courtney yells, Scott Darling. This has been the 33rd episode.
Scott Darling!
This is a show that never ends.
With the Demi-Goddess.
Courtney, hold on. This has been the 33rd episode of Let's Talk Low Hockey, the Scott Darling episode. Thank you so much for watching season 2, episode 13. We will catch you guys next week for a brand new episode. We look forward to seeing you next week. Bye.
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 Thank you for watching this Belly Up Media production. Some said we'd go belly up, so we made it our name. And we're still